I want to give you a complete understanding of a lot of things about the mind and consciousness so that I can help you bring awareness to what's going on and how things operate so that you can now navigate much better. When you don't know how things work, then you're kind of foggy as to how the outcome will be, right? So, for example, if you don't know, if you didn't memorize your timetables and somebody said, "What's 2 times 2?" and you don't know that it's 4, you might start guessing. You might start having to do math in your head and trying to figure it out. But if you know how to solve the problem, if you know why 2 times 2 equals 4, now it's a totally different perspective. A lot of people are taught to memorize answers. 19 Keys even touched on this earlier. He became a good person, a good memory master, the ability to memorize answers instead of knowing how to solve the problem. There's a difference between solving problems and memorizing answers. And when you only know how to memorize answers and you don't know how to solve problems, it creates a situation where things don't seem as clear as they should be. And a lot of the times you're just guessing. When you're living from a state of mind of only guessing or regurgitating what you memorized, it puts you in a position of weakness, not power. You see? There's a lot of adults today that I can walk up to and I can tell them, I can say to them, and let me come back up on full screen for a second because this is important. I want to say this clearly. I can say to them, hey, you know, what's 12 times 12? And they'll give me the answer. All right. And I'll say, okay, you know what that is. Now, why is 12 times 12 144? Why is it? Like, why is that the answer? Now they have to think. Why do they have to think? Because 99% of people have memorized the answer to their multiplication tables. They memorized it, right? But they never was really taught how to solve it. They give you this sheet with this cube with the numbers going across this way, down and across, and the answers. And all you do is look at it for a few hours a day and say it out loud. And the next thing you know all the answers. But in true reality, you don't know how to solve the problem. This is the state of the world we live in today. Kids in school are taught to just memorize answers on tests. They're taught to, the schools punish if they don't get good scores on different types of state required exams and tests. So the school focuses all year long on teaching kids how to memorize and regurgitate answers versus teaching them how to solve real problems. That's the state of the world we live in today. And this is a huge situation that's causing a lot of people to become stagnant and lost and stuck and basically, living outside of their purpose, completely oblivious to what's really going on, not understanding the reality that we live in and how it operates from behind the veil, right? So that's what I like to do. I want to go and teach you some of the things that you need to understand about yourself and how your body's operating, how your mind is operating, just so you can have a basic understanding as to what's really going on beyond the veil. So as you begin to go through some of the things that you'll learn today, you might be able to begin to see some of these processes occurring, not only with this, but other things that you'll apply it to within your life. Let's look back at this again. Crystal magnetite in the human brain. Your brain has billions of magnetite crystals inside of it. Billions. No wonder why human beings are really drawn to crystals, and we love crystals, and we are so enamored by crystals, and we want to have them around us, and we want them in our house for decoration, and we want to put them by our bedside. But we are crystals too. Crystals are just a fractal of what's already inside the human body. We know that the pineal gland is made of crystals, and the brain itself has billions of magnetite crystals as well. Pretty interesting. As a matter of fact, we should be able to sense the Earth's magnetic field and navigate without GPS. Just like birds who flock south for the winter, turtles come and re-nest at the beach where they were born, right? All these incredible things that are done, how whales navigate the ocean, how dolphin pods navigate the ocean. It's all based on magnetic fields. They're using magnetite crystals to do that. Why can't we sense it? Well, we actually can. We've been disconnected from the feeling of the sensory perception of our magnetite crystals. And how do we know this is true? They took a person and put him inside of a laboratory with a gigantic bar magnet. They put a cap on his head with sensors on it to read, the brainwave activity. And then they began to move this bar magnet all around the room. And guess what happened? The magnetite crystals in his brain began to orient themselves to the magnetic field. He was completely oblivious to this happening. He couldn't sense it or feel it, but his brain knew it was happening. More proof that in some way we have been disconnected from our natural capabilities that are already innately inside of us right now. These things are happening inside of us, right? And so we have to come to the understanding that, wow, wait a minute, what's going on here? We have this ability, it's built into us, and I don't even know about it. I don't even know it exists. I can't feel it. I have no way of knowing. Well, it's there. You see, over many eons, we've been gradually disconnected from all of our true powers that are built into this avatar body. This avatar body has supernatural powers. And because of the systems and the programming codes that they put into us, it has caused a disconnection to occur and to happen. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up this magnetite crystals to help you understand the importance of it, because it works along with something else inside the human brain. It works along with something called the neural correlates of consciousness. These are three giant neurons that wrap around the inside of the skull, and it looks like a crown of thorns. Looks like a crown of thorns. Sound familiar? Sounds like the story of Jesus in the Bible when they put the crown of thorns on his head. As I sip my tea, right? More like a metaphor the biblical text was referencing when they talked about the crown of thorns. The crown of thorns, or this neural correlates of consciousness, works in collaboration with the magnetite crystals and also this part of your brain here, the claustrum. These neurons connect to the claustrum. The claustrum is like the conductor of an orchestra. It coordinates inputs and outputs, which then helps to download consciousness. You hear that? Downloads it. You see, the human brain doesn't create consciousness, it downloads consciousness. If you were thinking that consciousness was oriented inside of your head, that this is where it began, you've been wrong this entire time. You're not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts because you are not a local being. Your spiritual energy is not local to this body. It inhabits the body temporally, in time, temporal. But the source is a beam that's entering in and consistently streaming into this avatar on a consistent basis, 365 days a year, 24/7. The claustrum, the neural correlates of consciousness, and the magnetite crystals work together to encapsulate for a temporary amount of time, your spirit and hold it inside this avatar so that you may animate it until the avatar itself expires. That's what's going on. You are not here. You arrived here on a beam. A beam of what? A beam of light. If you could see in other frequencies of light, you'd be able to look at someone and you'd be able to see a beam that looks like it's coming out of their head, but it's actually not coming out. It's going in. That beam is being transmitted from a higher realm at a specific frequency attuned to each individual's avatar body. And your avatar body picks up that beam and that frequency, and then it becomes the illusion of you. That's how it works. Deep inside the brain, you then have the pineal gland. I notice that when I post images like this on social media, I'll see people telling me, oh, you're talking about the all-seeing eye and is this the Illuminati? And I have a tie that has the image of the Eye of Horus on it, which is up here. And this guy posted, he commented on my YouTube account, this is Illuminati stuff. This is why are you wearing the all-seeing eye and blah, 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 blah. No, this is not the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye is the eye of providence, which is what you see on the dollar bill and so forth. This is the eye of Horus, which is a totally different concept. This is a cross-cut section of the human brain. When you cut a brain in half and you open it up, pull the hemispheres apart and look at them like this, you will see this image, the eye of Ra and the eye of Horus. One's on this one side, one's on the other side. It's the location of the pineal gland deep inside the human brain, which has photoreceptors, but doesn't actually see the light, but it responds to light. It's your spiritual antenna, and it's made of crystals. So we know now that we have a few things. We have our pineal gland, which is our spiritual antenna, which picks up the frequency. We have our claustrum, which is the conductor of the orchestra. We have our neural correlates of consciousness, which works in collaboration with the magnetite crystals to encapsulate and hold in the energy so that you can animate this body for a particular period of time, temporally. And that's how you navigate through this matrix. It's all based on a system that's developed that allows you to animate an avatar body from a beam of light coming from higher dimensions. That's what I'm talking about. In the comments, let me see who's understanding. Let me see who's getting this in the comments. If you're getting this in the comments, let me see a response here. Let me see what you've got to say. Brianna Simone says that's wild. Let me see what you guys are talking about here in the comments. Elissa Sunshine says, so interesting. I recently had vertigo and was told that I had loose crystals in my ears that needed to be repositioned. That's accurate. Dean Henry says, love you, Billy Carson. Thank you. Michelle N says, taking screenshots. Okay. You guys are paying attention. I'm just glad. Because I don't have my live chat working. I have to keep going back and checking the chat over here. Dad says, yes, brother. Brianna says, I'm getting this. Okay, great. This is good. This is good. Just want to make sure. All right, this is really, really important stuff. Again, you see the eye of Horus. You see also the falcon. What's interesting is I remember an ancient sage, a wisdom keeper, was asking a group that I was with out in the field doing research. And we got to talking about our spirit animals. And he said that I'm going to teach you how to find your spirit animal. So we did a meditation. And then he asked everyone right after the meditation to name an animal right now. And so I said falcon. That same question was recently asked to me again just a few months ago by Dr. B. Serious. And of course, I picked the falcon again. But that's how I picked my spirit animal. And the spirit animal is part of this structure of the human brain that's connected to the eye of Horus, which is pretty interesting. I just thought it was pretty interesting that that was the animal that I chose. What was really incredible is the spirit animal is just really an extension of you. It's not really an animal. It's really you in an anthropomorphic shape or style, a metaphor, but it's an extension of you that guides yourself. All right. It's nothing outside of you. It still is you. It just gives your brain a different way to focus and understand and conceptualize this guidance that's occurring. But it's really you guiding yourself from a higher dimension. You become your own spirit animal, which is why the animal selects you and you select it. All right. So it's a very, very sensitive thing. What's interesting about this, though, is as I was talking for the last 10 years about the mind and the brain and how it connects to higher dimensions, and that this beam of light, this consciousness is streaming from higher dimensions and connecting to us, People would say that I was crazy. I was a whack job. I was a tinfoil wearing hat pseudoscientist. And I mean, the comments you guys have probably all seen some of the comments over the years. Whoever's been following for a long time, you've seen some pretty brutal stuff. I've even had scientists contact me and tell me that they were pissed off and that was ruining you know, real scientists' careers, and that what I was saying was blah blah blah. It's just so much. Of course, even if I've had death threats. But guess what happened here? Look at this. Just last year in 2022, peer-reviewed science now, and this article is from sciencealert.com. It's made mainstream global news. This brain model was produced by a team of researchers from the Blue. That's a huge brain research facility. They have the top brain scientists in the world and neuroscientists in the world. Last year, neuroscientists used a classic branch of maths in a totally new way to peer into the structure of our brains. What they discovered is that the brain is full of multi-dimensional geometrical structures operating in as many as what? 11 dimensions. Just as I've been saying all these years. Go back down my Instagram feed. Go back to my old workshops. I've been saying this for so long. Not even funny. Why 11 dimensions? Because the universe is 11 dimensions. And I'm going to show you some more information about that shortly. We're used to thinking of the world from a 3D perspective, so this may sound a bit tricky, but the results of this study could be the next major step in understanding the fabric of the human brain, the most complex structure that we know of. This brain model was produced by a team of researchers from the Blue Brain Project, a Swiss research initiative devoted to building a supercomputer-powered reconstruction of the human brain. The team used an algebraic topology, a branch of mathematics used to describe the properties of objects in spaces regardless of how they change shape. They found that groups of neurons connect into cliques, and the number of neurons in a clique would lead to its size as a high-dimensional geometric object, a mathematical dimensional concept, not a space-time one. Pretty interesting that this comes out of sciencealert.com, peer-reviewed science that is now global news. Global news. Let's take a look at what Michio Kaku has to say. Let's take a quick look here at Michio Kaku and see what he has to say about the dimensions of the universe. He's obviously one of the world's leaders in quantum physics. Here's a clip of me talking on a podcast about this recently. Hang tight. So I dug real deep into it, and I got to the understanding that we're living in a multi-dimensional universe, and there's at least 11 dimensions. Otherwise, the universe would collapse. Each dimension is a 90-degree angle right above the next one, compactified. So they're sitting right on top of us. So within less than a Planck unit of space above you, there's another dimension that actually exists with a whole other universe happening simultaneously while we're sitting right here. Wild.
That's hard to fathom. It's hard to fathom. So right here where we're sitting right now, there's a whole nother dimension of a whole nother universe happening, life taking place.
Yes.
Right in the same space that we are.
Right here. Right here where we are. Right here. Vast too. Vast. Just as vast as ours is vast. And from higher dimensions, they experience time differently. Time really doesn't exist. The past, present, and the future happen all at once. So somebody, for example, from the fifth dimension would look at us and they'd be able to see us. Imagine us in this building here, but imagine when I first walked in, and imagine us in here, and imagine me like in the bathroom or something. They'd be able to see us in all the different rooms. The different rooms represent different time frames of existence within this structure. So they can see the past, present, and future at the same time. So it's pretty cool. Weird stuff starts happening the higher the dimensions you go.
So
like I said before, again, we're talking about multidimensionality. We're talking about the brain connecting to higher dimensions. This is important to understand before we get into some of these codes. It's really important for you to grasp that you're not just here in the third dimension with the brain in the third dimension, thinking in the third dimension. That's the illusion that they want you to believe. That's the limiting belief system that they put on you. The fact of the matter is, you are a multidimensional being that's inhabiting a three-dimensional body, but you still have multidimensional capabilities and powers. That's the part that we're all missing. And when you come to understand this, everything opens up for you. Life becomes so easy because you begin to see through everything. You now know how things are operating and working. You sense your powers and your abilities. You understand when you're connecting to higher realms and higher dimensions because you now brought awareness to it. When I went to see Dr. Amen for my brain injury that I had from a car accident in my early 20s, he showed me a brain scan. That brain scan showed dimples, gigantic dimples right here on the top of my head, which is numb. I have no feeling here from the car accident. I was ejected from through a front windshield. I was in the car with no seatbelt on. Back then, there were no seatbelt laws, and we're talking about the early 1990s, and no seatbelt laws. And I was sleeping in the passenger seat. My friend crashed. I went through the front windshield over the car that we hit, and then rolled down into the embankment. Blood was squirting out of my eye. My eye had this whole eyelid was ripped off, and it's what they call a starburst incision. But they gave me a brain injury right here. And also because my brain sloshed around in my skull, it made a hole where the bone is in the back of the skull inside. The brain got punctured by that and made a hole directly in the back of my brain. Fortunately for me, there was no damage to this part of the brain, which is like the most important part, like for understanding, knowledge, wisdom, memory retention, and all that kind of stuff. But my navigation center, this is where my navigation center is located. I would get lost everywhere I went. Everywhere I go, I would get lost in my own house. Can you imagine getting lost in your house? Finally, after decades, Elizabeth got me an appointment with Dr. Daniel Amen, who's world's number one psychiatrist. He's done thousands of SPECT scans, tens of thousands, I even believe, potentially. But in that scan, we saw what the problem was. Now, what I was taught and learned that day, the first part of my healing process for this brain injury was being able to see my brain and being able to see where that injury was. And that was the cause of my issue with navigation. You see, I didn't connect the car accident to the navigation problem. I thought I was just losing it in some kind of weird way. And I don't know why I was getting lost. I couldn't even take an elevator. When I get off an elevator, I walk back in, I'd walk left to right. I take parking garages to the top floor when I was trying to leave the parking garage. That's why I gave up driving. I was like, I drive sparingly because at the time I was like, I can't keep doing this. I'm going the wrong way. I'm getting lost everywhere I go. And so I had to get a full-time driver, right? And I wouldn't drive unless if it was a less than a 30-minute drive, I would do it. But if it was more than that, I wouldn't go. And so but the awareness was, now I see my problem has been physical this entire time. It's a physical problem, not a mental problem. And then that cleared some space in my brain because it was causing me dis-ease, which was going to give me disease. Then I was able to bring awareness to the location through conscious thought. I could see where the injury is now. I can see where there's a lack of blood flow in my brain causing me not to be able to remember where the hell I am. I was told by the doctor, day number one of healing starts today. Awareness. Awareness is the first day you start to progress. Awareness that you're a multi-dimensional being. Awareness that your spirit is being temporally encapsulated into this avatar and is beaming in as a beam of light coming from a higher dimension. Awareness that your consciousness connects to 11 dimensions and that the universe is 11 dimensional. That kind of awareness gives you power. It gives you power. And that's why it's important for me to show this to you. Let's listen to this for
Andre, we believe, though we cannot yet prove, that our multiverse of universes is 11-dimensional. So think of this 11-dimensional arena. And in this arena, there are bubbles that float. And the skin of the bubble represents an entire universe. So we're like flies trapped on flypaper. We're on the skin of a bubble. It's a three-dimensional bubble. The three-dimensional bubble is expanding, and that's called the Big Bang Theory. And sometimes these bubbles can bump into each other. Sometimes they can split apart. And that, we think, is the Big Bang. So we even have a theory of the Big Bang itself. Now you ask a question, what about the dimensions of each bubble? Well, in string theory, which is what I do for a living, that's my day job, in string theory, we can have bubbles of different dimensions. The highest dimension is 11. You cannot go beyond 11 because universes become unstable beyond 11. If I write down the theory of a 13, 15-dimensional universe, it's unstable and it collapses down to an 11-dimensional universe. But within 11 dimensions, you can have bubbles that are 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional. These are membranes. So for short, we call them branes. So these branes can exist in different dimensions. And let's say P represents the dimension of each bubble. So we call them P-branes. So a P-brane is a universe in different dimensions floating in a much larger arena. And this larger arena is the hyperspace that I talked about originally. Also remember that each bubble vibrates, and each bubble vibrating creates music. The music of these membranes is the subatomic particles. Each subatomic particle represents a note on a vibrating string or vibrating membranes. So believe it or not, we now have a candidate for the mind of God that Albert Einstein wrote about for the last 30 years of his life. The mind of God in this picture would be cosmic music resonating throughout 11-dimensional hyperspace.
So I hope you're starting to get the big picture here before I start going into some more of these codes. I'm going to get into the codes, but I like to paint the picture. I want to set the stage, so to speak. I want to get your mind ready as to understanding what's going on, behind the veil. And behind the veil just means the area in which you can't just perceive through your natural 5 sensory perception. There's a lot going on. There's so much going on a consistent basis, most of which we're oblivious to it, right? But it's happening. Nonetheless, it's actually happening. Very important. Let's get into the mind and the consciousness here. There's a video clip that I want to play. Let me see if I have it loaded up here. Let's see. It's an EEG. Let's check this out.
I chose to be here. This was my choice. At least, I think it was. Most of you will believe that you chose to watch this video.
We do worry about manipulation by the media and by advertising and by other people and so on.
You freely willed it.
What is the degree of freedom that you give to the definition of free will?
Our choices define us.
So if that's what we're talking about, then we don't have free will.
But reality may not be so simple.
There you go.
In the early 80s, Benjamin Libet designed an elegant experiment to help us understand the mechanism of decision-making in the brain. This is the Libet experiment. All I have to do is watch the spinning dot and click a button whenever I feel like it, then report to the scientist at what time I felt the urge to click. Meanwhile, my brain activity is being monitored. Most of us would assume that our choices register as an increase in brain activity and result in us clicking the button. But what's actually observed is a build-up of brain activity, called the readiness potential, a full second earlier than the conscious urge to click. This has been replicated hundreds of times.
What are the implications of this kind of experiment? So, the folk definition of free will is that your mind controls your body, meaning that your mind is free to decide what to do and send the command to your body. But when you consider the Libet experiment, it means that conscious intentions, instead of being the cause of motor preparation, is the consequence of an antecedent brain activity. So it challenges this dualistic view of mind-body causation.
And so in my group, we've gone back and redone all the Libet experiments very carefully. And we find that you get a readiness potential even in the absence of a motor act, like doing this versus that, if a person expects something to happen. So my own guess is that the readiness potential is tied up with expectation or anticipation that something is about to happen.
Perhaps. So, in fact, at the moment, it's very difficult to know the exact way of, how it works exactly.
The experiment is over. My mind is no longer the controller. Rather, it's firmly seated in my conscious brain, guiding and responding to whispers from my subconscious. Right, I'm hungry. I need some food.
If you assume, there's only natural things in nature and there's nothing supernatural, well, events in the brain, including those events that lead to your conscious deliberations, have to have preceding events that perhaps were not conscious. But that doesn't mean that those events are causal.
But probably we can say that a lot of our decisions, even not all our decisions, are the result of a prior brain activity. And as an example, there is an elegant study by the team of John Dylan Haynes who showed that by using neuroimaging measurements with MRI scanner, you can actually predict what will be the decision of participants before they are actually conscious of having taken that decision.
This begs the question, how can we have free will if our unconscious brain is making decisions before we do?
Oh, okay. So let me get to the issue of the unconscious. So I don't deny that unconscious processes affect the decisions that we make.
But the unconscious is not unintelligent. The unconscious guides us in ways which is itself responsive to reasons.
Take the following scenario. I'm walking, over 8 months pregnant, hungry and very tired. When I listen into what my subconscious is saying, she's tired and hungry too. Strangely, she wants beans for lunch.
Sometimes we're influenced badly by unconscious reasons, there's no doubt about it, because advertisers do psychological experiments to find what we're sensitive to, and then they set up the environment so we make decisions through unconscious subliminal influences.
We know there's lots of examples of priming.
Even if we start from the kind of everyday, which baked beans do I choose in the supermarket, it's sort of quite easy to get from there to a genuine worry about whether you really made that choice freely when you pick the Heinz versus the own brand or whatever it is.
Fine, no beans then. Or am I just saying that because I feel my subconscious has been duped?
That might be a problem, but then that happens with conscious decision making too. People lie to us.
Once you start sort of pushing the boundaries of manipulation, it starts to be a really hard question. When are we sufficiently in control and when aren't we?
How can we step outside that and get outside those influences? Or can we even?
Yeah, no, we we can't. I mean, the best we can do is, because we're human beings and we're incredibly clever, we're able to reflect on all of this stuff, right? So we're not just kind of following impulse.
May I add something?
Okay, go ahead, sure.
So we have to make a distinction between picking and choosing, or proximal acts of choosing and distal acts of choosing.
That is, decisions that require less effort, like picking oranges in the supermarket, are easily done by our subconscious, while our conscious mind can focus on more complex tasks, like whether to accept a job offer, or what to cook for a dinner party, and who to invite.
I think a lot of our decision making is playing out in this internal virtual reality of our imagination. And we spend about half of our waking day there imagining this versus that. And some of those imaginings or deliberations are not terribly consequential, like whom to invite for dinner. Others are very consequential, like whom should I marry? Or what country should I live in? And I want to argue that our internal virtual reality of our imagination is where free will is really active. It's not picking, as in the Libet task. It's really an issue of choosing consequential decisions.
Right, I'm still hungry. I'm back at the beans, but I'll take some time to avoid any unconscious bean-based biases I may have and deliberate on which to buy.
If you want to call free will just our capacity to make intelligent decisions, which is hugely impressive, then I have no problem with that. In that case, you'd want to say, we have lots of free will, other animals have some.
Even a tiger can weigh its options. So we have this sort of first order deliberation in common with a tiger. However, in addition, humans have this sort of higher level or second order capacity to deliberate, namely to deliberate about our own future self.
And here's the strange thing. I felt much freer randomly clicking buttons for the Libet test than I did when I started to overthink which can of beans to buy, or certainly any of the big life stuff, where all sorts of constraints are put upon the possible choices I can make.
But within your constraints, you have a degree of freedom. What does that mean? We do have some freedom to act within the parameters given to us by nature and by our society, and then those parameters that we set for ourselves, like deciding to learn a new language or to go to the gym or even to become a better person.
So, do we have free will? Well, it depends on what you choose to call free will. If you want it to be your mind acting independent of your body, neuroscience says probably not. If you want your conscious self to be totally in control, again, probably not. But if you choose to locate free will in our conscious thought, then probably yes. Ironically, whether you choose to believe in free will or not is a question of choice.
When we spoke on the phone, you said you weren't sure about free will, and now you're saying you don't think we have it. Yeah. Because I'm just waiting for additional scientific evidence. It's just that at the moment, with what we know, it's hard to really believe in free will. But perhaps somebody, no matter the field in neuroscience, neurobiology, or physics, will find a new experiment.
Wait,
in order to show
why
that
did you
we
say
have free will
physics?
or not.
She's talking about me, because even though that lady that took part in that experiment is questioning, do we have free will, and looking for more evidence, well, the evidence is right here in this workshop. And so I wanted you to see that, because I want you to see both sides of the coin, where you see uh, an experiment taking place and people, real scientists, neuroscientists, kind of debating back and forth whether we have free will or do we don't. And the reason why this comes up is because we know that in the brain we receive information that we are not perceiving in real time. It comes to us, and then up to 7 seconds later, we actually then perceive the information and act on it. In other words, if I'm getting ready to do something with my next slide, my brain has already processed and gone to that next slide. And then that's happened up to 7 seconds before I even got to lift my hand up and press the button to go to the next slide, before I'm actually aware that I'm on that slide, right? To go over my talking points. They did an experiment where they put people in different rooms and they put an EEG on their heads connected to a computer to pick up their brain activity. And they were showing them images on the screen. And these images were images of a woman, breastfeeding a baby, a field of roses and flowers, a person getting killed, a person getting strangled. So there was this varying array of images that would trigger different types of emotional responses that they wanted to be able to track on computers and map out these emotions in human brains across a test study of people. The images were shown 10 seconds apart. And in each case study, the next image that was going to appear on the screen was transmitted via the mind to the computer, whether it's going to be a horrific scene or tranquil scene or peaceful scene or whatever, a happy scene, up to 7 seconds before the image showed up on the screen. Up to 7 seconds. Scientists have now replicated this type of experiment in many different ways, and it happens the same way every time. There's a delay in the time that we actually experience what has already happened. To us, we think it's happening in real time. If I tell you to pick up your cell phone and you pick it up, you think you picked it up in real time. In actuality, that happened up to 7 seconds ago. Hard to wrap your mind around that. And so the argument is, well, if I picked it up 7 seconds ago and I wasn't completely aware that I was going to pick it up, how do I have free will? I'm going to give you the answer to this question. This is a pretty powerful code to know how to unlock in the human mind. This is the code of learning how to rise up and surf the ocean of the universal consciousness instead of standing in the water and waiting to get a wave from consciousness splashed over your head. And what I mean by that is this: the average person is standing on a shoreline, okay? They're standing on a shoreline in the universe, living their life, right? And as they're standing in the water, about waist deep or so, living their life, the water is the universe, everything that happens, everything through life. As they're standing there, though, what's beginning to happen is this: waves begin to crash over them. See? You see the people standing there at the shore, and these waves are just crashing over them? If you can imagine that those waves are moment by moment reality, you will begin to realize that what most people only know what happens the moment that the wave crashes, right? Most people are only living moment to moment. As a wave crashes over them, they're like, oh, this is the moment I'm in now. Oh, this is the next moment I'm in now. Completely oblivious to higher level thinking. Now, what you want to be is a person that is surfing the wave. How do you do that? It's called getting into the flow state. You look at an elite athlete. Let's take Michael Jordan for example. Michael Jordan, arguably one of the greatest athletes of all time, arguably, he gets into a flow state where he gets into the flow and the game slows down. He's not the only superstar athlete that has ever said this. When you get into a flow state, time changes for you versus what you're experiencing and the other person's experiencing. The players on the court are not moving at his speed from his perception. That's why he was able to maneuver in the air through 4 and 5 people and then make these incredible, scoring baskets. And nobody could touch him. You literally had to grab the guy and toss him out of the air to stop him. That's how bad it was. He was embarrassing the NBA. But time would slow down for him because the other players were waiting for the wave to crash over them. Oh, there's a ball moving. Let me try to get it. Oh, I got the ball in my hand now. Let me shoot it. He was at another level to where he was actually surfing the wave. So when you're waiting for the wave to crash, that's the point where you're in the up to 7-second mindset. But through dedication, meditation, self-awareness, awareness of higher dimensions and your multidimensional abilities, you then are closer to real-time information. You're not at direct real time, but you're much closer. Imagine if you can shorten that time period of up to 7 seconds and get it down to 2.5 or 3 seconds. Imagine if I was in a foot race with Usain Bolt, at one time the world's fastest human being, and imagine that you beat him or I beat him by 3 seconds. In a foot race, 3 seconds is like a million miles. If you beat somebody by 3 seconds, like you seriously demolished them in a foot race. Imagine now from a spiritual aspect that you're not in that 7-second mode anymore. You've now ascended to a higher level of understanding, and now you're surfing the wave. And now what's happening is you're closer to real-time information because your mind is surfing on the universal energy instead of waiting for it to crash over you and tell you what moment you happen to be in at that second or at that moment in time. This is the difference between pivoting at the right time and making moves and tapping into your higher intuition. This is what we're talking about. Your intuition is high when you're surfing, and your intuition is low when you're waiting for the wave to crash over you. Some people operate at a high intuition all the time. They always seem to be making the right moves. They always seem to be making the right decisions. They always seem to be getting out of the way out of harm's way. There's been airplanes that I was going to get on that I walked out of the airport and later found out that the airplane had a mechanical problem. There's been all kind of crazy situations like that. Places that I was supposed to go where I get off at the wrong exit and decide, you know what, I'm not going to go this way anymore. I'm going to change up the whole thing. And then I look on the my maps, Google Maps, and it's telling me that that area I was going to go into has a complete solid red line. A major accident happened over there. See? Or I go to the mall and I know like this is Memorial Weekend. I need to pick up a couple things this weekend because I'm going to go somewhere on Sunday. I'm not going to leave my house and drive to the mall and try to find a parking spot. I'm going to pre-envision my parking spot before I leave the house to go to the mall. I'm going to call my parking spot into existence so that when I get to the mall, a spot opens up for me within minutes instead of me driving around for 35, 40 minutes. If I'm in a busy, crowded city in a downtown area, which happens a lot, and I've got to take an elevator up to all these floors and so forth, and the elevator's full of people, and you got to keep waiting for elevators. I don't keep waiting for elevators. When I'm on my way to the elevator, I'm calling the elevator. I'm calling the elevator. You understand? This is surfing, not waiting for the splash. The average person, they'll go to the mall and drive around for an hour and get into road rage because they finally saw a spot and somebody pulled into it and they couldn't get in it fast enough. So now there's road rage going on. That's the 7-second mindset. Me, I pull into the parking lot, I maneuver a couple minutes and boom, a spot they back out. I pull right in, or I pull into it and there's a spot waiting for me already in a busy, crowded, overcrowded mall. I walk towards the elevator. Before I can press the up or down button, the elevator's ping, it's opening. This is the power that you can walk in. This is the level of power that's inside of you. And it seems corny and weird and quirky and dumb to a lot of people. But all I tell you is this, try it. Try it with confidence, because as soon as you let a little bit of fear slip in, it's over. You gotta believe it. You have to believe it. If you have any kind of hobby, if you have any kind of thing that you're a specialist at, you're an expert in something, you know when you get into that flow state in that particular thing. It's a meditation. Playing sports at a high level is a meditation. You know, if you're a hobbyist of any type, that's a form of meditation. Exercise is a meditation. All of these things are meditations. When you get into the flow state and you're operating at a high level within that meditation, that's when you're surfing. So you can understand the difference between the 7-second mind state and the 3-second mind state. That's how you know the difference. Let's get back into this. Before we get back into this, let me check back in the chat again. Let's see if you guys are following me here. All right. Okay. You guys are getting it. This is good stuff. All right, good. Just got to check on y'all from time to time. Until I get my real-time chat working, I have to go back and forth. The real-time chat software is being installed so I can see it as I'm talking. That'll take a few more weeks. I just like to keep checking on you guys to make sure everything is all right. Let's get back into this. I showed you the wave crashing. I showed you how to surf on the wave. I'm surfing nonstop. I surf the wave. I was before, I was a person that was waiting for the wave to crash, right? But I began to realize, I began to internalize. I took a journey to inner space. I began to not connect, but realize the connection, my connection to higher dimensional thinking, to multidimensional thinking. I began to see the world from a multidimensional perspective. And once that happened, the universe opened up for me. It's almost like whatever you want to do, man, do it. It's yours. Because I'm operating from that frequency of power understanding, and I'm really believing in the power, not just hoping and guessing I have the power. Every room I walk into the room with power. If I'm walking through the airport, I'm walking through the airport with power. If I'm anywhere I go, if I'm in a grocery store, when I walk into a room, I expect people to feel my energy. I expect people to know I have arrived in the location on site. I expect people to be in awe. Not that I'm saying that I'm better than them, but my energy has now entangled with their energy and it's lifting them up. If I walk into a room of negative people, I expect them to come raise up a little higher than what they were before I entered the room. I want my energy to be so strong that their low energy frequency can't pull me down. I can only raise them up. That's the power that I'm walking in. Any problem that arises, I come with a solution or I find a solution. I never go to victim mentality. That's the 7-second mindset. I never go to, oh man, I knew this was going to happen. I have a trip that I'm going on tomorrow, a big trip, and I need to take a few days, with the family. And we have a few friends of the family that are attending as well. And one of the friends of the family, sent a message, a little concerned about the weather situation. And I could tell he was kind of testing my consciousness to see, like, do I think it's going to be okay or it's going to be bad weather? And I said, man, regardless of what happens, we're going to have a great time. We're going to have a phenomenal time. If it does rain, it's going to be a passing storm that flies over us. It'll rain for a time and we'll be good to go. We're going to enjoy every moment. You see the mindset? I'm setting the intention before I arrive. I'm commanding existence. I'm commanding things into existence. This is the power that's inside of every one of us. All right, back to work now. All right, back to work. We're going to get into some of the codes now. I'm going to get you into some of these codes. All right. Now, this one is incredible. The mind has incredible plasticity, meaning it can adapt and change through our lives. All right. And so this is important because we're talking about the mind multiplied by plasticity equals adaptation and equals change. That's why you see the M multiplied by P equals A, comma, C. This is a real Supermind code. Neuroplasticity allows the brain to recognize or reorganize its structure, function, and connections in response to learning, experience, and environmental changes. I'm going to stop right there for a second. This is really key and important because, for example, when I was going to see Dr. Ahmed and I had the brain injury, I'll be honest, I was a little nervous at first going in there because I had learned my whole life growing up that the brain was, the way it was going to be. And if you damage brain cells, they can never grow back. And I was like, this is interesting. Now, when I took those classes at MIT for neuroscience, and I learned that, the brain can reorganize and it can make new neural connections, but I never really correlated that to like curing an injured brain. Like I didn't envision that. I just saw new connections maybe sprouting and new connections within the brain and allows you to, try to regain some function. But I never really thought you can completely heal the brain the way that I learned from Dr. Ahmed. It's an incredible thing. Neuroplasticity is a real thing. And the evidence of it is if you go watch Scan My Brain, you'll see my before and after brain scans. You'll see that my brain looks completely different on the second scan, which was only 9 or 9.5 months later, after doing the regimen of work that I was given by Dr. Ahmed, which was brain supplements, a specific type of exercise that he gave me to do, brain exercises, and a special type of a diet dealing with caffeine and no caffeine. And my brain in less than a year completely transformed. And it's still transforming at the exact moment because I'm still doing those same exact things. If I go back for a third scan next year, it'll be completely different again, probably even more healthy. See, so it's incredible that the brain has that capability. The brain has the ability to change. And if you ever heard that the brain, once it's damaged, is permanently damaged, that's a farce, that's a lie. Neuroplasticity is not limited to specific developmental periods or restricted to certain areas of the brain. While it is more pronounced during childhood when the brain is rapidly developing, research has shown that neuroplasticity continues throughout adulthood. This means that our brains can continue to learn, adapt, and change in response to experiences and new information, regardless of age. So no, you can't. It's not, I'm too old for, no, you're not too old. Age doesn't matter in this particular case. If you do what it takes, if you follow the path, if you do the regimens, you can make the adjustments to your brain. And I'm going to tell you what those are in a second. Various factors can influence neuroplasticity, such as learning, practice, environmental enrichment, physical exercise, and even mental stimulation. By engaging in activities that challenge and stimulate the brain, we can enhance neuroplasticity and promote ongoing cognitive development. Understanding the incredible plasticity of the mind highlights the potential for growth, learning, and personal development through our lives. It also underscores the importance of creating enriching environments and engaging in activities that nurture, support brain health. I'm going to give you the trick to this code. The trick to this code is this. The first thing you need to do is get healthy brain supplements. And these are all natural supplements. These are not drugs. These are not pharmaceuticals. Healthy brain supplements. I'm going to tell you right now, Google almond clinics, all right? And you go to his website and you simply go to his multi-brain packets that he has there. They have all the supplements there for your brain. Just get on that. Take a packet of those every single day. I think there's 4 or 5 supplements in each bag. These little tiny travel bags. Comes in a big box. Take those. All right, that's number one. What I'll do too is I'll email everyone from this workshop a recap of this workshop. In that email, there'll be a link directly to the exact supplement because he does have quite a few on his website. So I'll send you the exact link in the actual email that's going to go out shortly after I end this video tonight, okay? The second thing you need to do is you need to take up table tennis, and you need to take up table tennis with left hand and right hand. You can also do tennis. If you want to do regular tennis, you can do pickleball, but you need to do it with left hand and right hand motions. You have to take it seriously. This is going to exercise both sides of the brain, and it's going to increase blood flow to any damaged parts of the brain that you may or may not even be aware of, okay? I also recommend, if you can get a basketball up over your head, you can actually shoot it. Start shooting the basketball left-handed, start shooting the basketball right-handed. Just close into the basket. No long jump shots. Just get close into the basket and just start shooting left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, right over the front of the rim, okay? Start practicing simple things. I know this sounds silly. Rubbing your stomach and patting your head, right? Rubbing your stomach and patting your head. Do this for about 5 minutes straight, okay? And then you switch hands. Rubbing your stomach and patting your head. This is increasing blood flow. Now, don't pat your head too hard. Don't beat yourself up. Take a pen, start writing your name left-handed, start writing your name right-handed, start writing your name left-handed, start writing your name left-handed, start doing your ABCs left-handed, start doing your ABCs right-handed. Both, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Spend some time doing this. Do crossword puzzles. Crossword puzzles also is a brain exercise. Going to increase blood flow to the brain, right? And then don't drink caffeine at night. One of my biggest mistakes that I was doing, it restricts blood flow to the brain. Drink 2 cups of coffee in the morning. And at night, if you want a cup of coffee, drink decaf. No coffee after 5 p.m. No coffee within 4 hours of going to sleep. No caffeinated coffee. No caffeine at all of any type. Okay? And if you do those things that I just mentioned, you're going to find out that M times P equals A comma C. And you're going to tap into neuroplasticity, and you're going to begin to reconnect areas of your brain that may have been dormant for some time. You're going to find that you have new abilities, things you didn't even realize. Your intuition is going to be increased. Your sensory perception is going to be increased. You're going to be like, damn, I'm seeing better, I'm hearing better all of a sudden. I'm sensing things now. My intuition is higher. My navigation capabilities are increasing. My ability to control my anger and outbursts is much better now. My impulses are better. I'm not as impulsive as I used to be. Those are all things that are results of brain injury. See? My OCD is getting better. These are all parts of the brain that aren't getting enough blood, oxygen-rich blood. And what I just taught you in just a few minutes of that one little part of this workshop can change your life forever, because it did change mine. I can now drive and know where I'm going. I can come out of elevators and know which direction to walk. I can remember where I parked my car at the shopping mall and the airport. These things are important. I don't get lost in my neighborhood or my house anymore. It'll change your life, all right? It'll change your life. Let me check on you guys again in the chat real quick. 620 comments. Mushroom coffee is good, Brianna. Dr. Amen, A-M-E-N. Jody, the name of the clinic is Amen, A-M-E-N. His name is Dr. Daniel Amen, A-M-E-N. Look for Amen Clinics, A-M-E-N Clinics. They're all over the United States. He's incredible. Michelle, yes, you can use pool. You can use a pool table as well, Michelle, not just table tennis. Use your left hand pool and stick, and use it right-handed as well. Amen Clinics, A-M-E-N, Amen Clinics. I'm going to send you guys all an email with the link to Amen Clinics, and don't forget about credcomanagement.com. Credco Management, not credco.com, but credcomanagement.com. All right? And you'll be able to rewind this as well. And I'm going to send you guys all a link to this as well. You'll have the link to the things that I'm talking about today. Excuse me. Here's another code. We're going to talk about how our minds have the ability to learn and acquire new knowledge and skills. A lot of us know that we have that ability, but we say it's too hard. And the reason why we think it's hard is because we're not tapping in. We don't understand the code that allows us to tap in and make it easy again. When you're a kid, it seems like it's so easy to learn a second language. And then you get older, it's like, man, I can't seem to grasp this. That's only because you're more full. You're more full of things that have to go on. You're more full of thoughts that are, when you're a kid, there's not a lot of thoughts in there. The older you get, the more thoughts you have, the more responsibilities you have, the more thoughts you have, the more things you're juggling simultaneously. I mean, a kid is not juggling work, a relationship, taking care of kids, taking care of an elder family member, paying rents and mortgages and car payments and tuition fees and savings accounts and stock market and blah, 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 blah. I can go on and on and on. A kid is just being a kid. Wake up, eat some breakfast, go to school, come home, watch cartoons. There's not a lot going on up there. So you start putting in some knowledge like a second language or some other type of skill or hobby, they pick it up real easy and fast. The brain is a sponge. There's not a lot of distractions going on, you see? M times A equals K comma S. And what are we talking about? The mind multiplied by ability gives you the knowledge and skills you need to excel in this world. Learning involves the acquisition of information, understanding concepts, and developing new skills or abilities. It can occur through various processes such as observation, experience, study, practice, and instruction. The brain's remarkable capacity for learning allows us to continually expand our understanding of the world, develop competencies, and adapt to changing circumstances. When we learn something new, our brain undergoes physical changes through the process of neuroplasticity. And to tell you what that is real quick, what you're learning today from this class has created new wrinkles in your brain, okay? Your brain literally has more wrinkles. Those overlapping folds inside the brain, when you see a brain on a scan, those overlapping folds, that's all knowledge. And what you're learning today is causing your brain to create more folds right now. You're creating more folds. And the more folds you have, the more information you're storing in your brain. Isn't that amazing? It's a physical change. It's not just a mental change. It's not a hypothetical change. It's not a multidimensional change only. It's a physical change. The physical brain itself, the physical matter of the brain, the brain matter, is actually morphing and changing as you gain knowledge. Neural connections and pathways are formed, strengthened, and modified, allowing us to retain and apply knowledge or skills we've acquired. The more we engage in learning activities, the more efficient and robust these connections become. The biggest problem we have right now with people needing to learn new skills is impatience. There's no patience. They want instant gratification. Everybody wants to know everything like this. They don't want to be an expert. They just want to get by. It's too hard to learn this stuff. I can't grasp it. Meanwhile, the world is moving at this speed, right? We have AI. We have robots being developed by Boston Dynamics that are going to have AI inside of them. We have all these new systems being put into place that are going to take away millions of people's jobs. Millions. Millions of people's jobs are getting ready to be wiped out forever. Like they're never coming back. They're never coming back. So what does that mean? You need this code. Everyone needs this code, because if you don't know this code, if you don't know how to enable and enact this code, then guess what? You're going to get left behind. Because I guarantee you one thing, the state of the society we live in today, when these jobs get taken away, your bills aren't going to be taken away. The job will be gone, but your responsibilities will stay the same. This is going to create a huge gap. Lower class, upper class, no middle class. Middle class will be gone. Middle class will be gone within the next 15 years. It won't even exist. It won't even exist. What's going to separate you from the bottom to the top? Can you pivot? Can you pivot? Are you ready to learn something new? My sister is a 4-time world champion bodybuilder. She's been doing this now for 13, 14 years. She's getting older now, all right? She just had another birthday. I think she's 47 now or something. And so she's approaching 50 years old soon, right? I mean, still looks great, still can compete with the best of them. At the same time, what else can you do? It's hard to continue to compete against 20-year-olds all the time. She went and took a class in coding. She became a coder. She took the class and graduated from the class and then invented a new type of a mobile app that has to do with mental health and relationships. She pivoted. Why was she able to do that and other people weren't? Because they get completely comfortable with the status quo. They become comfortable. When you become comfortable, that's when you're in trouble. When you become completely comfortable with where you are, knowing that the world's evolving like this, don't expect to be up here, because you're going to definitely be at the bottom. You have to learn how to pivot, and pivoting requires the ability to learn and acquire new skills. It takes dedication. It takes commitment. You're going to have to get up off your butt, and you're going to have to learn something. You're going to have to dedicate time. So you don't have a lot of time. You got 24 hours in a day. And most people like to sleep 8 hours, which 6 is good enough for me. I mean, that's my max. I can't go more than 6. I feel guilty anything more than 6. But you sleep 8 hours. Then you eat breakfast, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Then you got to drive an hour and a half, 2 to work. Then you got to work another 8 hours. Then you got an hour or so coming home. Then you got dinner, another hour. Then you got to sit down and watch your favorite TV show for another hour or 2. The next thing you know, you kiss the baby and you lay down and do it all over again. You have to take time out. You have to carve out time and make it a priority. Put it on a calendar. Whatever it is on that calendar that's on my calendar, whatever on my calendar, I get it done. My exercise is on the calendar. My meditation is on the calendar. Everything that's important is on the calendar. It's carved out. It's mandatory part of my day. I can't get around it. Make it a priority. Put it on your calendar and make it happen. Whatever it is that you need to pivot to, whatever it is you need to learn, whatever it is you need to become an expert at, if it's something that you're passionate about and you're not an expert, you need to become an expert at it if you want to monetize it. If you're not an expert at it, why monetize something that you're not an expert at? You're not going to be able to beat your competition or at least match them. This right here is one that a lot of people struggle with because they aren't aware that they're self-sabotaging themselves because they're not living to full potential because they're comfortable. They're in a comfort zone. You have to get out of that comfort zone and be ready to make a change in your life by acquiring new knowledge and new skills, or you will, I guarantee you, you will be left behind. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Second here. Also, and this is important to know that effective learning often involves active engagement in practice. Simply receiving information passively may not lead to optimal learning outcomes. By actively participating in the learning process, such as through problem solving, critical thinking, and hands-on activities, we can enhance our understanding and retention of the material. So whatever it is you're pivoting to, whatever it is you're trying to learn or acquire, knowledge you're trying to acquire, actually go out and do it. Do it extensively and consistently, and you will begin to develop that skill and that talent and have the knowledge for that, and it will become very, very good. You'll become an expert at it. In summary, our minds possess the incredible capacity to learn and acquire new knowledge and skills. By nurturing a mindset of lifelong learning and engaging in purposeful educational experiences, we can continuously expand our horizons and reach our full intellectual potential. New code. I'm going to do this code, then I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break to use the restroom and come right back. M multiplied by I equals N dash I, comma, C. The mind can create and imagine new ideas and concepts, right? So you take the mind and you multiply it by imagination, which is the most incredible thing that we have, imagination. I could talk for years about imagination. Imagination is why I'm here. I've been wanting to do this for so long. I imagined that I would be doing this, and I'm doing it. But the imagination came first. Every time that I was able to create something in my life, it all started with imagination. My money doesn't come from me working. Working doesn't create money. Money is just an instrument. It's a connection to an energy exchange. My income that comes in, it came from my imagination. The imagination, the side effect of my imagination, I should say, is income. And so is yours. So you multiply the imagination, the mind multiplied by the imagination equals new ideas and concepts. The mind multiplied by imagination equals new ideas and concepts. The imagination is the key. You see, this is why when kids go to school, right, when you're born, heck, by the time you come out of the womb, you're completely restricted. Now, I know you have to make sure a kid doesn't put their finger in a electric socket, and you got to make sure they don't do things that's going to injure them, like run down a staircase. But we put a lot of restrictions on our kids. Sometimes some people I've seen don't even let their kids get dirty. I have a neighbor that has a young kid, and they ripped out about an acre of their grass in the backyard and put down artificial turf. So the kid never even touches the actual ground, which means the kid's not even getting grounded. The kid's just playing on artificial turf, which is plastic. Okay. We restrict our kids. We don't want them to get dirty. We don't want them to do this. We want them to do that. Then they get to school and they're robbed of all their creativity. Their imagination is stolen from them, and they're forced to live like prisoners that are being guarded by COs at a prison. Each classroom is like a prison block. We snatch their imagination from them and restrict them. So over time, it becomes more dull and more dull and more dull until it almost disappears. Then we become completely oblivious to our imagination. The imagination then becomes a future dream. Oh, I wish I can do. One day I might be able to go. You've been robbed. You've been hacked and robbed. That's what happened to you. You got mind hacked and robbed. They robbed you of your imagination. When you're living in your imagination and you activate it, then and only then can you begin to create new ideas and new concepts. See? Let's talk a little bit about the process. You want to create something. You want to bring something into existence, like this cup. This cup started off in the multi-dimensional platform, the original platform, floating around in the multi-dimensional time space while I thought about it. If I was the inventor of this cup. Well, here's a cup. It's in the multi-dimensional space as I'm imagining what a cup would look like, this type, what this mug would look like, how the handle would be, the weight of it, how somebody can grasp it. How comfortable will it be on fingers, depending on the way that they hold it? There's all different types of holding modes to hold a mug like this, right? What's the size of the circumference of the base versus the circumference of the lip, right? What type of material will it be made out of, right? What elements am I going to use in this thing? So once I come with all this imagination about this mug, the next thing I do is I take it from the multi-dimensional platform, which is up to 11 dimensions that we learned earlier today, and I collapse it into 2 dimensions by drawing it on a piece of paper. I then take that drawing and I now get it into a CAD, a computer-assisted design program now in modern times, a CAD design, which is still 2-dimensional, but it looks and appears 3D, so I can move it around and see how it's going to look in real life. I can see a rendered version of it, right? Then what happens? I give that CAD, that CAD design data to an engineer who then manipulates atoms and creates the actual mug in the 3rd dimension so I can actually pick it up and maneuver it on an XYZ axis through space-time and make it a functional thing in 3-dimensional reality. That's how this mug came into existence. Everything that exists came into existence in that same exact way. This cognitive process is known as creativity and plays a vital role in various aspects of human life, including art, science, problem-solving, innovation, and more. When we engage in creative thinking, our minds have the capacity to combine existing knowledge, experiences, and information in unique and original ways. This process allows us to generate ideas, envision possibilities, and create mental representations of concepts that then do not exist in reality. This didn't exist yet until it collapsed into a 2-dimensional object, which then popped up through engineering into a 3-dimensional world. Creativity involves divergent thinking, which is the ability to explore multiple perspectives, make new connections, and consider alternative solutions. It often requires breaking away from conventional patterns of thought and embracing a mindset that welcomes exploration and experimentation and open-ended possibilities. That's how we manifest our reality into existence. We're going to stay on this Supermind code here for another minute. M multiplied by I equals N dash I comma C. We're talking about the mind multiplied by imagination, which is going to be an incredible situation for you because once you multiply the imagination, now you get new ideas and concepts. Excuse me. And these new ideas and concepts are going to move you in a whole nother direction in life. What I wrote earlier was creativity involves divergent thinking, which is the ability to explore multiple perspectives, right? We know this. But it's important to note that creativity is not limited to a select few individuals. While some people may naturally exhibit a higher degree of creative thinking, everyone has the potential to cultivate and enhance their creative abilities through practice, experimentation, and embracing a mindset that embraces curiosity and exploration. And sometimes in curiosity and exploration, uh, it can be things that are embarrassing. We have been put in such a weird box in society. Like if you start experimenting or thinking creatively, and we start thinking, well, if I do this, or somebody knows that I'm into that, or somebody sees me doing this, they're going to think I'm crazy or weird. Forget what people think about you. Stop worrying about what people think about you. Because I'll tell you what, if I worried about what people thought about me, I wouldn't be sitting here teaching you today. I wouldn't be on this workshop. You wouldn't be listening to me speak for these last, few hours. You would have never heard of forbidden knowledge because I was attacked from the very beginning. I've been attacked for decades. I've been called crazy for decades. I've been called a whack job, a nutcase, a tinfoil hat wearing pseudoscientist. I've had death threats. I've did the whole works. I've had people create social media accounts dedicated to try to bring me down. People create YouTube accounts dedicated to trying to bring me down. Dedicated. Do you think that I thought I listened to these people? The evidence is here that I haven't listened to any of them. I haven't worried about any of them. And the proof of that is the fact of where I am right now, the level I'm at right now. I'm on a steady incline going straight up like a rocket ship, regardless of what all those people said and thought about me. My third grade teacher was one of the very first people to try to chop me off at the knee. My third grade teacher, let me tell you this story right here. Some of you might not heard about this one. I was in the third grade, Rainbow Park Elementary School, Miami, Florida, Opelika. I lived about 4 or 5 houses away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses away from the school. Anyway, the teacher had everybody stand up one day to say, what they want to be when they grow up. Because we had just had a career day a few days prior, or the weekend. I think it was a Friday was a career day, and then Monday, talking about this career day stuff. And what do you want to be when you grow up? Everybody's standing up. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an attorney. I want to be a janitor. I want to be a garbage man. Blah, blah, blah. I jump up and I go, I want to be famous and I want to be on TV. And she said, oh, Billy, look where you are. Look where you're from. You're poor. You're never going to be famous and be on TV. Almost like, are you kidding me? You want to be famous and be on TV? You're from this ghetto? You need to pick something else. You need to be a janitor or something. And the whole class laughed at me. They laughed and they laughed. And I cried. I cried. It was pretty tough. But still hurts to this day. I didn't let that take me down. See? The average person would have taken that and been crushed. I took that blow to the gut. Boom, boom. I was like, oh. But I got back up. I said, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to prove her wrong. I didn't take the victim mindset. I didn't take the mindset as, oh man, and look what they did, and they laughing at me, and look what she said to me, and I look where I live, and I'm, you know what, she's right, and I ain't gonna make it. And I said, nah, I'm gonna do it. I didn't know that this would be the method, knowledge. I honestly thought I would be an actor on TV or something like that. I didn't know it was gonna be through this method that I've been utilizing. I couldn't see that image of it. But I just felt like I would be famous and be on TV. Now I'm in over 1,000 TV shows worldwide with my own TV network that I'm teaching on. If she was still alive today, I would send her a TV with my network already programmed on it so she can see me. Right? So pretty interesting. But again, it comes down to understanding that you can't be worried about the outside noise and what people are saying about you. When you start worrying about that stuff, that's when you actually give away your power. You give away your power. And when you give away your power, you give away your creativity. And when you give away your creativity, you don't go anywhere. You get stuck in a rut. You don't move. You don't elevate. You don't motivate. You don't inspire. You become part of the system. You see, the average person is on this planet is a prisoner, and they're also the prison guards at the same time. The prisoners and the prison guards. Next, Supermind code. M times PS equals S. Our minds have the ability to problem solve and find solutions to complex issues, right? Again, you see how it always starts with the mind, and then the mind multiplied by. In other words, there has to be some type of a energy exchange. First, you access the mind and you observe it. And then from there comes the energy exchange. In this case, it's problem solving. And problem solving equals solutions. So the mind multiplied by problem solving will equal actual solutions. So one of the biggest problems we have on this planet is people complain about the problems, but nobody's providing solutions. So if everybody's complaining and nobody's providing solutions, how do you think we're going to move forward as a civilization on this planet? How do you think you're going to move forward as a leader in your household? How do you think you're going to move forward just in society as a whole? How do you think you're going to move forward with things that you want to accomplish in your life if you're not searching and hunting vigorously for solutions? It starts with this code. M multiplied by PS equals S. That's the code right there. Problem solving is a cognitive process that involves identifying challenges, analyzing information, generating potential solutions, and selecting the most appropriate course of action. Every day I become a solutions provider. In business, you find that things will blindside you all the time. You can take the mindset of, oh man, why is this happening to me? And I can't understand why this is happening. And this is starting to be too much and I can't take it. Or, oh, boom, okay. Oh, this is what's happening. All right, let me sit down and analyze this for a minute. Let me get my team together. Let me do some searching and looking. Oh, boom, okay. If this has happened before to this situation with somebody else, this is how they solved it. Let's duplicate what they did there since that worked. I can't find a solution. Let me make a few phone calls. Like somebody that I know has to have gone through this situation before. Let me figure out how they got out of it. Let me create the solution through my imagination. Let me go to my previous Supermind code and use my imagination and become the imaginary creator of the solution, and then collapse that imagination into reality. You see how I'm thinking? I'm thinking totally opposite of the average person. When faced with a problem, our minds engage in critical thinking, which involves careful analysis, evaluation, and reasoning. We gather relevant information, break down the problem into manageable components, and seek to understand its underlying causes and constraints. This process allows us to gain insight into the problem and formulate effective strategies for solving it. That's how you move through this matrix. Because I guarantee you every single day or week or month, there's going to be a surprise issue, a problem that's going to present itself. And you're going to need to solve that problem, but you don't solve it unless you understand this code. Unless you understand that you have to take your mind and multiply it by your problem solving capability. There's an energy exchange that has to take place. Otherwise, you're going to spin your wheels and you're going to blame everyone else. And you're not going to go anywhere. And you're going to keep blaming other people instead of looking in the mirror, or on these days, take a selfie, because you're the problem. The problem that pops up isn't the problem. The problem that props up is not the problem. The problem is your lack of problem solving capability. That's the real problem. Your inability to attack the problem and solve it and resolve it and maneuver around it. That's the problem. You see, it's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of understanding how to navigate through this matrix. Problem solving often requires creativity. Isn't that the same thing as imagination? That's why I put that word in there. As we may need to generate new ideas, that's imagination again, consider alternative perspectives, or explore unconventional approaches. Start thinking outside of the box. Stop thinking inside this little tiny package. Break outside of that. Expand your thinking to the multidimensional platform that we talked about in the very beginning. You have the capability. You're tied into up to 11 dimensions. Start tapping into the higher levels of knowledge. We can overcome mental barriers and discover innovative solutions. Solutions to problems. Not crying and complaining and whining and nagging and why is this happening to me? Solving problems. Once you dedicate yourself to becoming a problem solver, you'll see that everything will open right up. Moreover, problem solving is not merely a solitary endeavor. Collaboration and communication play essential roles in finding solutions to complex issues. If you don't know the answer, find someone that knows the answer. If you can't find someone that knows the answer, get on YouTube. Now, YouTube is kind of a quasi-university. You got to figure out what's real and what's fake, but at least you can get some type of idea or concept maybe of which way to go. Hop on now, Google, right? Now I think they got something new. They got this chat GBT thing, which I haven't really had a chance to play around with a lot yet, but they got the chat GBT. Find some way to tap into a potential solution to the problem through a collaboration or through asking questions. Like Tupac said, even a genius asks questions, right? By sharing ideas, perspective, and expertise with others, we can benefit from collective intelligence and diverse insights, leading to more comprehensive and effective problem-solving outcomes. In addition to cognitive processes, problem solving involves practical steps such as planning, implementing, and evaluating the chosen solution. It requires adaptability and willingness to adjust strategies based on feedback and new information. Through iteration and refinement, we can optimize our problem-solving approaches and achieve better outcomes. And all we want is a better outcome. Anytime you're trying to solve a problem, you're trying to navigate, you're trying to convert that problem to where the outcome of it is more favorable for you, right? And the mindset you have to have is problem solver. I'm a problem solver. I'm a solutions provider. I'm not a crybaby. I'm not a whiner. You got to learn how to be a warrior, not a worrier. Learn how to be a warrior, not a worrier. See? Slide. We're going to move into another section here for a second. Let me pause this for 1 second. I'd like to check out the chat one more time. Make sure everything's working fine over here. 771 comments. There you go. Robin Butler says chat GBT. Darlene Harris, is this a Supermind Code teaching? Yes, it is, Darlene. You're in the right place. That's been my motto lately. I don't focus on problems. I just look for solutions. That was, who said that? Joshua George. Dean Henry, Billy's third grade teacher's comment was like a battery in the back of Billy. You got that right. Sure did energize me in the right way. Caroline, Billy, you took that and sold your toys. I'm inspired and enjoy the intelligence. Thank you. Thankful you kept going. All right, looks like everything looks good there. Comments are working. The video is flowing properly. Every now and then, I just like to check on the chat, see what's going on. If you want to be in the part of the chat, you got to register for an account on Forbidden Knowledge TV so you can actually participate in the chat there. You get a 7-day free trial. Doesn't cost you any money to register and try it out. Plus, you get access to thousands of TV shows, documentaries, movies, and workshops that are up there. All right. Next, Supermind Code. M multiplied by MM equals T, comma, S. The mind can be trained and strengthened through practices such as meditation and mindfulness. So when you take the mind and you multiply it by meditation and mindfulness, what happens? You get trained and you get strengthened. That's the result. That's the side effect. So you take the meditation and mindfulness and you multiply it, you end up with training, and you end up with the ability to be strengthened. It's really, it's a habit forming thing. You have to understand how to form positive habits in your life. And that's really where this goes. The practices involve focusing one's attention and awareness on the present moment, cultivating a non-judgmental, accepting attitude towards thoughts and sensations. And you want to be able to focus on the now, focus on the moment of now, but you want to do it through mindfulness, where you're becoming the observer of your thoughts, not your thoughts. Most people go through life believing that they are their thoughts, and wherever they think, it's actually them. It's actually false. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. And to prove this, you can actually separate yourself from yourself in your mind and hear yourself talking. You can even talk back to yourself and make a decision change or overwrite the programming and change it to another particular decision. You can hear yourself saying, I'm walking down this aisle, I'm going to turn left. And you can actually stop and you can hear yourself say that. And you can actually say, no, turn right, and your body will turn right. You are not your thoughts. The more you understand that, the better off you'll be. You are the observer of your thoughts with an overriding program capability. You can overwrite the code whenever you want from a higher dimensional thinking standpoint. You can overwrite the code inside this avatar body. You can rewrite conscious conversations and reprogram the body's movements. You can alter negative thoughts and direct them towards positive thoughts on the drop of a dime. It's all up to how you want to navigate through this matrix. Let's look a little deeper into this Supermind Code. Here are a few ways in which meditation and mindfulness can train and strengthen the mind. Attention and concentration. Meditation exercises often involve focusing attention on a specific object, such as the breath or mantra. We did the Om earlier today, right? That's a mantra. It's also the primordial sound of the universe, which is a specific type of cymatic frequency that actually resonates with string theory and allows matter to jingle into existence in the third dimension. Right? Powerful stuff. By repeatedly bringing the mind back to the chosen focal point whenever it wanders, these practices enhance attention and concentration abilities. So when you're focusing on something and your brain begins to wander because of distractions, or you start picking up your phone and you start swiping on your feed and all this ridiculous stuff that's on the feed, first of all, and you're swiping and swiping and swiping and swiping, you got to stop in here and you got to say, hey, look what you're doing. Notice what you're doing. Notice the energy that you're wasting. Notice your mindfulness slipping and you're getting distracted from your concentration and from your ultimate goal. And tell yourself to stop and watch your hand stop swiping. Watch the other hand put the phone down. And now direct yourself back to the goal and get back on track. That's mindfulness. See? Over time, individuals can experience improved focus and sustained attention in various aspects of their lives. Emotional regulation, which a lot of people just don't have. Mindfulness practices involve cultivating an attitude of non-reactive and acceptance towards emotions and thoughts by observing them without judgment. Individuals can develop greater emotional resilience and the ability to regulate their emotions effectively. This can lead to reduced stress, increased self awareness, and the improved emotional well being, what you actually need. And so, we're talking about the ability, like I said before, to separate yourself from your thoughts. Mindfulness is a very, very powerful thing. Start catching yourself when you're slipping in every aspect. Somebody cuts you off in traffic and you get pissed off, talk to yourself. Say, no, 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 no. That's not me. That's my thoughts, but that's not really me. Calm down. Tell yourself, calm down. Get yourself back in check. Start focusing on something positive. Think of something that made you feel great. That'll flip a switch inside your brain and your mind, and you'll switch off your cortisol and you'll go back to being a normal person again. Mindfulness. These are things that hold people back. Something as simple as meditation and mindfulness that's not being done properly. You ever know somebody, or maybe even yourself, that you just seem to just drift away or get lost in something, and you got all this stuff you got going on, it has to be done, and you can't seem to focus on it? You ever know anybody that just flies off at the hinge on a moment's notice? They can't control their emotions whatsoever. They're not utilizing this Supermind code. They're not accessing the meditation and mindfulness needed to be trained and strengthened emotionally and spiritually. Cognitive flexibility. Meditation and mindfulness practices encourage individuals to observe their thoughts and experiences without attachment or identification. This process can foster cognitive flexibility, allowing for greater openness to different perspectives, adaptive problem solving, and reduction in rigid thinking patterns. You have to get rid of those rigid thinking patterns. We're like, this is the way it is, and this is the way it's got to be. No, there's many ways. There are many ways to accomplish the same goal. There are many techniques that can be used. I can get 5 different chefs in a kitchen, and I can tell each chef to cook a chocolate cake. And each chef will use a totally different method to cook that chocolate cake. And each chocolate cake will taste slightly different, but they're all chocolate cakes. You see? It's important to understand what's going on here. How do you tap into this advanced knowledge? This is all about understanding mindfulness and meditation. And meditation doesn't mean you're sitting, in the lotus position with your legs crossed and folded and all this kind of stuff. If you can do that, that's great. Don't get me wrong. I don't sit like that. I don't sit like that. I don't do that. I do my meditation several different ways. I do my meditation in the bed, laying comfortably, wide awake, but in a meditative state. I do my meditations in the shower. I do my walking meditations, right? In the shower, I usually do my manifestation meditations. And my walking meditations are also sometimes manifestation meditations, sometimes creative meditations, where I let creativity from the universe come to me, which I come up with some of my most greatest ideas, or really my greatest ideas are downloaded into me on those walks, right? And sometimes I'm just sitting in a room quietly and just doing a cosmic meditation. I do Merkaba meditations. But all these meditations are done because I practiced them. When I get on an airplane on a long flight, I'm on a lot of long flights, as you guys know. In the last 24 months, I traveled the world 11 times. Been around the world 11 times in 24 months, 259 cities, countless hours on airplanes. What do I do on all that time on the airplane? I do meditations. I'm on a 14-hour flight, a 20-hour flight, a 16-hour flight. I just go into a meditation. I have my schedule, some work, some movie, and some meditation. That's how I get through my flights. You have to carve out time for what's important and stop making excuses to why you can't do it. Just be involved and start to learn how to get it done and develop those habits. These are positive habits, right? Excuse me. I was on for 4 hours yesterday on YouTube. Now today, another 4 hours. That's a lot of talking. Wow, a lot of topics. Now, let's move on. Same topic, stress reduction. Mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques have shown significant benefits in managing and reducing stress levels by training the mind to focus on the present moment and developing a non-judgmental attitude towards stressors. Individuals can better cope with stress, promote relaxation, and improve overall mental well-being by using stress reduction techniques. Neuroplasticity. Regular meditation and mindfulness practices have been found to induce neuroplastic changes in the brain. And studies have shown that these practices can increase the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, where the neocortex is at, Neo from the Matrix, the area associated with attention, emotional regulation, and decision making. It can also enhance connectivity between different brain regions involved in cognitive and emotional processes. If you know anybody that's very impulsive, that once they have a thought, they can't stop themselves, they need to understand that they need meditation and mindfulness training severely. It will help to thicken and strengthen, the prefrontal cortex, which is extremely important. You ever heard of a natural born killer? Somebody that kills and can't stop themselves, and no matter what you do, and if you lock them up for 1,000,000 years, they couldn't stop themselves from killing again. They have a damaged prefrontal cortex. If you scan their brain with a SPECT scan, you'll find out that their prefrontal cortex is damaged. They literally can't stop themselves. Somebody who has outbursts, people who have these anger outbursts or will curse you out or whatever, a lot of these people have a weak prefrontal cortex. Once a thought goes out, they can't navigate it, they can't control it, they can't suppress it. It just has to come out. It's worth noting that, like any skill, meditation and mindfulness require practice and consistency to experience their benefits fully. Engaging in these practices regularly, even for a few minutes a day, can yield positive results over time. It's a cumulative result that continues to build. Start off with 5 minutes, push it to 10 minutes, eventually push it to 15 minutes, max it out to 30. Stay at 30 for a little while and work yourself up to 45 minutes, then an hour, then 2 hours. You'll find that my longest meditation was 6 hours. You'll find that time doesn't even exist anymore. 6 hours felt like a few minutes to me. That was on a flight. And the only reason why I came out of it is because the flight attendant tapped me on the shoulder and asked me if I wanted breakfast. That was the only reason I came out of that meditation. I would have still went. Probably would have done maybe 7, 8 hours. Okay. Now, this is a powerful one. You might have heard me talk about this one before. This Supermind Code is probably one of the most powerful ones that exist. Conscious thought multiplied by action equal manifestation. This is a powerful, powerful, powerful Supermind Code. And even as powerful as it is, the average person doesn't recognize it, doesn't see it, takes it completely for granted, doesn't realize that this power is how they actually are even alive right now. The statement, conscious thought multiplied by action equals manifestation, suggests that combining focused thinking with intentional action, that's the energy exchange, can lead to the realization or materialization of desired outcomes or goals. In other words, when we align our thoughts with purposeful action, we increase the likelihood of bringing about the results that we seek. You can't get the outcome without the action. A lot of people are going through life hoping and wishing and dreaming. And that all sounds really cute and good. Sounds like a nice movie. Sounds like a good family movie to watch on on Saturday evening or Sunday night. But that's not real life. You have to have action. Without action, you have zilch. You have nothing. And by that, by not understanding that you need action, you now take your life and your abilities for granted. And you put your talents underneath the rock to rot away until they become dust. Then you die and you got to start all over again from scratch. You have to understand that your conscious thoughts about a particular thing that you want to manifest require action. I can't sit here and go, I need a new car. I need a new car. I need a new car. And then walk outside and see a new car without doing anything about it. Now, in some extremely rare cases, that can happen. But the odds are very small. You have to maximize your odds and maximize your potential with action. So if I say I need a new car, now I go from that, I go, okay, what kind of car do I need? Okay, now I isolate that. Now, this is the kind of car I need. What color should it be? Okay, I isolate that. Now it's this color. Okay, what tires? What rims? Alloy, steel, what is it? Okay, what type of interior? Is it velour? Is it leather? What type of stereo system? Okay, what kind of engine? What kind of exhaust? Now I'm getting very, very specific. Now I've identified the specific car that I want. And now I go, okay, this is it. Let me go down and test drive this thing. Even though I don't have the money to drive it yet, to buy it yet. I'm gonna go down and test. I'm gonna go sit in this car, this exact one that my imagination took me to. And now I'm gonna go drive it. Once I drive it and I'm happy with it, I claim it. This is my car. Now I go back and I do a meditation at home called a manifestation meditation, where in that meditation, the only thing I do is in my meditation, I'm in the car, picking it up from the dealer, in the car, driving it as my own. I'm not thinking about buying it. I already bought it. I own the car in this meditation. I'm driving it around to my friends' houses, showing it off. I'm coming home to my house, pulling into my driveway, coming in the house, parking it, and chirping the alarm and go inside the house, park it in the garage or wherever, right? In my manifestation meditation, I'm cruising down the highway. It's my car. Now what happens? The universe starts conspiring. The energy, the frequency has gone out. These electromagnetic waves of thoughts have gone out into the universe. They leave your skull. Your thoughts don't stay inside of this bone. They go out. And how do we know that? Well, if I put a cap on you with sensors, I can collect those light waves with an EEG, and I can send that data from your own brain, those light waves, convert it into data and send it to a computer, and I can analyze your brain. Every thought that you're thinking is leaving your skull and going out into space-time forever, permanently. Thoughts that you had 20 years ago are still floating around in the ether right now, today. Just like radio waves, which are waves of light, and TV waves, which are waves of light, like I Love Lucy, the TV show that came out in the 60s, it's still floating around in space-time right now. If you were an alien race outside of our solar system and you had the capability of deciphering the radio wave, which is a wave of light, you can watch I Love Lucy from 1960 in space. Your brain is doing the same exact thing. Same exact thing. Real science, not pseudoscience. They'll teach you this at MIT in neuroscience class. And so, what's interesting about that is our thoughts carry data and information to the universe. Those light waves leave, but they're encoded with information on them that the universe can access and read. Now it begins to conspire and create realities that can have positive outcomes in the favor of what you're trying to manifest. But those opportunities will come to you. You have to discern them and put action steps into them. All of a sudden, a new contract or an opportunity to make more money will arise, or a deal will come up that will allow you to generate enough income for a down payment on the car, or something that you had been working on for some time will now finally come through and give you the ability to make the monthly payment that you need to cover the cost of the car that you actually want. Windows will open, doors will open. Sometimes people get to this point and then they fail because they don't recognize that windows and doors open, but they also close. You have to discern the opportunities. Something that comes through that window or door might connect you to somebody else that eventually connects you to what you need to be able to make that deal close. You can't just be like, oh, no, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. I'm working on this thing. Sometimes you have to really sit back and discern the opportunities as they arise, because they could be the golden opportunities that connect you to the next thing, that connect you to the next thing, that allow you to get the keys to that car. Or whatever it is. They don't have to be a car, it could be anything you're trying to accomplish. But I'm just giving you this as an archetype. See? You have to be prepared for these opportunities as they arise once you get to that level of manifestation process, because if you don't, those windows and doors will close. Takes me to a famous parable where there was a guy on a boat. He didn't tell anybody he was going fishing that day, and he went way out into the ocean to go fishing, deep sea fishing. Didn't tell anybody he was leaving, didn't take a phone or anything. All of a sudden, for whatever reason, the boat started taking on water and it capsized. He's out there in the middle of nowhere, and he finds a little piece of a material that was from inside the boat, and he's hanging on to it. It's got a little bit of air under it, it's keeping him afloat, barely. And a few days go by, and he's praying, God, please come save me. God, please come and save me. A few days later, a boat pulls up on him and says, hey, man. Throws a life ring out to him. Says, grab this, I'm going to pull you up. He goes, no, God's going to save me. The guy goes, what? He says, yeah, no, I'm waiting on God. God's going to save me. The boat goes, man, you're crazy. The captain says, you're crazy, man. And the captain pulls off and the boat leaves. A few more days goes by. This guy is halfway dead now. Another boat finds him out there in the middle of nowhere, throws out a life ring to him. He says, oh, no. I'm waiting on God. I got faith in God. God's going to save me. Captain goes, man, you're crazy. Pulls off. Now this guy's got, like, he's on his last breath. Another boat pulls pulls up on him as he's sinking. Tries to save him, pull him up. He comes up, no. God's going to save me. Then he drowns and dies. He makes it to heaven. When he gets to heaven, he sees God. He says, God, I was praying like crazy. I was out there in the middle of nowhere drowning in the ocean. And God said, you idiot, I sent 3 damn boats. You see what I'm saying? I sent 3 damn boats. You didn't discern what I did. I had already sent you what you needed to save yourself. This is what I'm talking about. The fact that being able to understand this code is probably one of the biggest codes on this entire list, because it has to do with understanding how to discern connectivity between things that will lead you to your final objective. You see? And you have to be ready. You have to be ready, and you have to be willing. But again, it's going to require action. Every step along the way into manifestation requires action. Like I said earlier, a guy thought about creating this mug that's on a multidimensional platform. How did it end up being a third-dimensional object? The action was what? He had to write this down on a piece of paper. He had to get it into a computer design program so he could design it properly. He had to get it over to an engineer so the engineer can actually manifest it as a 3-dimensional object that we can pick up and navigate in the 3rd dimension. And then he had to invest energy into it to even get it to market. The action steps created this mug. The imagination created on the multidimensional platform, but to bring it into the 3rd dimension took action. And everything you see that exists in the entire 3rd dimension that's not from nature, that's what we call quote unquote man-made items, like the clothes on your back, the table, I'm in front of, the chair I'm sitting in, the device I'm looking into to talk to you, your house, your apartment, your cars, even your damn toilet paper. None of that would exist if people didn't know how to tap into this code already. We naturally tap into this code, but most people are unaware of it. We walk around thinking that we're totally and utterly powerless, and that's actually not true. The power is inside of us, and to get it out requires imagination and action. Conscious thought backed by action equals manifestation. Looking a little deeper, conscious thought refers to deliberate and intentional thinking. It involves directing our attention, imagination, and intentions towards specific ideas, goals, or desired outcomes. By continuously focusing our thoughts on what we want to achieve, we can shape our mindset and create a mental framework that aligns with our aspirations. Action refers to taking steps or engaging in activities that are in line with our conscious thoughts and goals. It involves actively doing something to bring out change or progress. Without action, our thoughts may remain mere ideas, they'll remain as imaginary, or wishes without tangible results. Taking action is a crucial component in moving from thought to manifestation. Let me say that again. That's what I wrote. Taking action is a crucial component in moving from thought to manifestation. Manifestation refers to the realization or actualization of our desires or goals in the physical world. It is the tangible outcome of aligning our thoughts and actions with our intentions. When our conscious thoughts are combined with purposeful action, we increase the chances of bringing our aspirations into reality. You see what I'm saying here? Let me say that again. When our conscious thoughts are combined with purposeful action, and the reason why I put purposeful is because we have a lot of wasted action too. I don't want people thinking that you could just, move in circles and think that all of a sudden that's good enough. That ain't how it works. Purposeful action. I can say I'm going to bake a cake. I don't know why I keep going. Maybe I want a piece of cake, but I can say that I'm going to bake a cake, and I can get all the ingredients into a mixing bowl, right? And I can really mix those ingredients together properly to where there's no lumps, there's no air bubbles, and the batter is smooth, super smooth before I pour it into the baking pan. Or I can take that same bowl, mixing bowl with all those ingredients in it, and I can half-assed whip it around. I'm whipping it. I'm using action, but it's not purposeful action. And so what happens? There's air bubbles. There's parts of the batter that hasn't been absorbed by any of the fluids in the mix. There's lumps everywhere. And now I go to bake that cake. The first cake comes out perfect. The second cake, it sinks in the middle. It's got dry spots in it with actual like raw cake in it, right? Raw flour, just poof, like bite into it and raw flour, spraying out of my mouth because it hadn't even been cooked into the cake. Because I had action, I want to manifest the cake. And I guess what? I manifested a cake, but it's a crappy cake. It's a piece of crap because my action wasn't purposeful. I hope y'all are getting this because my action wasn't purposeful. Let me check the chat again. Joshua George says, motivation plus actions equals success. I love that. That's a great code. 555 action, Brianna Simmons. Tanasha Ward. Very pleased with this event. I can see with the emojis. In the comments, if you guys are getting what I'm talking about, if you understand the power of this Supermind code, Let me see it in the comments. Let me see it in the comments. I see somebody just wrote, Kay just wrote, absolutely, 100%. Let me see it in the comments if you guys are getting this. This man, LOL, Veronica says LOL, get this man a cake. I love it. You're great, Billy. I don't know why I'm thinking about cake. So, I've been on this, I've been trying to reduce my sugar intake and, and all this so I can, try to stay in shape and be fit and everything else. So maybe it's the sugar talking to me like, hey, man, you need to get some cake. But regardless, I hope I made the point. Friday, because you need to get some cake. Get this man some cake. Christina Nilsson says yes. Tisha says got it. Derek Jackson, very powerful. Jody says key. Nicole Malden says the book Secret had nothing on your training. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. So you guys are getting it. So that's good. Just want to check in from time to time. We're almost done here. We're going to be wrapping up soon. This has been a really long day, and I'm glad that everyone has been able to participate with us in the Supermind Codes, okay? This is really, really, really important stuff. And I want to, let me get back to my PowerPoint here. I just want to make sure that, from time to time that I'm checking in with y'all and letting y'all know that I'm here. Eventually, the live chat comments will feed into this streaming service, and I'll be able to see them in real time instead of going back and forth and refreshing the page to see the comments. I'll be able to see them in real time, and you'll be able to also see everyone else's comments as long as you're a subscriber to Forbidden Knowledge TV in real time as well, kind of like how YouTube is. So that's being done right now. So very soon, that'll be in effect. So until that happens, I like to go back and forth and check in from time to time with everyone in the chat. And right now we have in the chat, the comments, I should say, not really chat, it's a comment feed, 814 comments. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right, so that's really good. I love that. That's real good engagement. And I want to thank y'all so much for paying attention and being engaged in this information, because it's so easy, again, to get into what we were just talking about, letting your mind drift, no mindfulness, right? No concentration. That was the previous mind code. No concentration. And just be, oh, well, I'm in here and I'm getting this knowledge and, but not really paying attention, just kind of like skimming the knowledge versus actually digesting it and letting it marinate and discerning it. There's levels to understanding the knowledge. And this, what I've been talking about for the past 20 minutes, is massive. Because this has been the Supermind key that has allowed me to live the life that I'm living right now. It has allowed me to expand myself and live the life that I envisioned for myself. And everyone's life that they envision for themselves is going to be totally different. This is my life and my vision, the way that I wanted to manifest it. And I'm living that, and I'm living proof of it. And so when people see me and they see what I'm talking about and what I'm teaching, I'm living what I'm teaching. There's so many people out there that are teaching, but they're not living what they're teaching. And that makes it hard for people to follow. It makes it hard for people that are following to have any level of success consistently, because the person that they're learning from isn't showing it. There's no show and prove in any aspect. I try to live what I talk, what I preach, what I teach. I want to show you this is what I'm saying. Now have a look at what I'm doing over here. All right? I'm living it. You have to become the light. You have to live this. You're worried about people not wanting to listen to you, and you can't talk to people because they think you're crazy and they don't want to hear what you got to say. Well, stop talking to them. Start living it. And then guess what happened? They're going to be like, hey, hold on, come over here. You doing this now and that, and you this is what you're into. This is how you're living now. Wait, hold on a second. Tell me what's going on. And that's when you say, well, I've been trying to tell you about these mind codes, these Supermind codes. I've been trying to tell you. I'm locked in. I'm dialed in. I'm in the flow state. I'm maximizing my potential for these codes. It's important to note that while conscious thought and action are significant factors in the process of manifestation, they are not the sole determinants. Other factors such as external circumstances, timing, resources. This is why I talked about earlier, getting your credit fixed. I'm going to go back to that in a second. And the involvement of other individuals can also influence the outcome. Manifestation is a complex interplay of various elements, including our own efforts and the larger context in which we operate. If you are in a position to manifest something that's going to take some type of resources, which usually equals money, and you can't leverage your credit to get access to the capital because your credit is screwed up, and you're sabotaging yourself because you keep putting it off, then you're not really trying to manifest anything. And I know there's people on here right now listening to my voice that are saying, damn, he's talking to me. Yeah, I'm talking to you right now. You can't continue to go through life putting off things that are holding back your ability to manifest your reality. One of the most important things that's going to help you manifest your reality, unless you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, is leveraging your credit. If billionaires are leveraging your credit, why aren't you? Let me say that again. If billionaires are leveraging their credit, why aren't you? And then you go, they're lucky, they're billionaires. They're lucky, they're millionaires. Lucky? How about, they've unlocked the Supermind Code, and they've accessed it, and they're implementing it. And you haven't done that yet. Maybe either because you didn't realize it or didn't know it. But now that you have awareness, you need to be fixing that problem. So the first thing you need to do is go to credcomanagement.com. Credco, CREDCO, management.com, and fill out a consultation form. Credco, I will put it in the caption of this video. When I end this video, it'll be there. And I'm going to go back to the QR code at the end of this presentation again. You've got to be able to leverage your resources. Furthermore, it's worth emphasizing that manifestation is not solely about wishful thinking or positive thoughts alone. You have to have those two things, but that's not going to get you the end result. It requires sustained effort, perseverance, adaptability. Now we're tapping into other codes we talked about today, and the willingness to learn and grow along the way. The actions we take should be aligned with our thoughts and intentions, but they also need to be grounded in reality. That's important, and guided by practicality. This one paragraph I wrote taps into the codes that we talked about previously prior to this one. They all culminate into this here. It's one of the most important codes that exist. This code encompasses almost all the codes. Right? By aligning our thoughts and intentions with purposeful action, we increase the likelihood of manifesting the results we seek. However, it's essential to recognize that manifestation is a multifaceted process influenced by various factors. It required consistent effort and a realistic approach. That's why I like to teach this stuff, because people need to understand there's a realistic approach. If you watch that movie, I forget the name of that movie now. You guys know what it is, The Secret. It was a great movie. I mean, it got people thinking about manifestation, but they forgot about one important part, all these Supermind codes that go into it, and the processes and the step-by-step process that it takes to actually activate it. The action steps that are needed to make it happen are missing. So a lot of people came up with the concept or idea, all I got to do is be happy and wish for something, and it should pop right up into my world. Not necessarily the case. And then some people are trying to manifest things that are outlandish, but the probability factors take them to a very low ratio of possibly even creating that manifestation. You got to be realistic. I'm not going to sit here and start going, I'm trying to manifest a trip to Mars next week, and then next week comes and I'm not on Mars. Now, I want to manifest a trip to Mars, but I know that's probably going to be 10 years, 15 years, maybe 20 years away from now. You have to be realistic with the outcome and what you're looking for and what you're trying to manifest. Another important aspect of this, the mind multiplied by shadow work equals recovery. This entire planet and everyone on it, including me, is suffering from mental illness. Let me say that again. Let me get back on the main screen again. I got to talk for a minute. This planet Earth and everyone on it, there's 8 billion people here now. 8 billion. We have 8 billion people suffering from mental illness on this planet right now as my voice speaks and reaches your ears, including me. Varying different levels of mental illness, but still yet mental illness. We all are suffering from it. Every single person. This is a fact. The quicker you get that in your head, the faster you realize that you have work to do on yourself. Consistent and persistent work to do on yourself. It's not your fault that you're suffering from mental illness. It's not your fault. But now that you have the awareness that you are suffering from mental illness, you have to identify what mental illness you're suffering from. And then begin to do the work on that. And the trauma is the cause for the mental illness. The trauma that we've all been issued throughout our lives creates mental illness of varying levels. Some levels are so varying that they seem super extreme, and somebody might get Baker acted and put into a mental facility, put in a straitjacket. Some levels are so varying in the opposite direction that you can't detect it. People are good at hiding their mental illness. They hide it. They put it in a closet inside their mind, and they hide it to the general public when they're out at work and they're out in the street and out in the store and out at the movies or the mall. But the suffering is real and it's really in there. And people can only pretend for so long before that mental illness turns into dis-ease, which converts itself into disease. That's how you end up, most people dying with cancer. That's why it's the #1 killer on the planet. It all stems from mental illness, which turns with the trauma, turns into mental illness, which turns into cancer, which kills you. It's a fact. It's an absolute fact. The mind multiplied by shadow work. Our minds have the ability to heal and recover from trauma and adversity. So this is not a life sentence. We can fix this problem if we begin to do the work. While experiences of trauma and adversity have significant impacts on our mental and emotional well-being, the human mind has inherent resilience and adaptive capacities that enable us to heal and move forward. I wonder if I can play this video by Dr. Daniel Amen. How can I get it? It's on YouTube, but it might be too long to play. I'm going to check and see if there's a way to pull it up real quick and maybe share my screen. Hang tight with me and see if I can get lucky here. This is a real important topic. I really want to punch this point home. Let's see if I can get it up here. This is a clip that just recently came out, as a matter of fact. See if I can see it this way. I'm going to try to log into Instagram on this screen that's in the back of the camera and see if I can just find this clip and pull it up. I want you to hear what Dr. Amen actually had to say. See if I can find this. See if this is in here. This is it. Okay. That's one of them. Upstairs. Just give me a second, gang. I just really want to find this clip because it's really important. We're talking about the trauma. Maybe fast. Boy, it's such a good clip. Oh, I think I found it. Here it goes. I found it. Make sure this is the right one. Okay. Let's see if this is it. I'm going to try this one and see. Let's see if we get lucky. I'm going to try to share this screen and play this. And let's see. Let me pull this back down for a second. And let me see if I can get lucky. This might be the right clip. Let's just see. Share screen. Share audio. Go to the window. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to check the comments and see if you guys were able to hear that and see that. If you were able to hear and see what Dr. Armand and I were talking about there, just drop me a yes or something, or you understood it in the comments. Let me know if you guys were able. Oh, it said can't, no sound. Okay, well, I guess that didn't have any sound. Can't hear the clip. Okay, well, I'll find a way to upload that clip or maybe download it and get it uploaded so you guys can hear it. But basically, what was happening, you can read the caption. There was a caption. Hopefully, you were reading the caption. He was saying that after scanning my brain, he noticed a brain injury. He noticed that there was a trauma in my brain, and based on that trauma, there was a situation where it could have helped me develop something called PTSD. And he was asking me, how do I handle it? What do I do with this trauma? And I told him I typically don't have a negative mindset. I haven't succumbed to that. What I've done is I look for solutions to problems, and that keeps me moving in the right direction. See? Because of the trauma pattern, I didn't let myself become the trauma. I took myself away from the trauma. I separated myself from the two and realized the only way to cure this problem within me is to acknowledge that it's there, but then also begin to look for solutions to the problems in my life. And that will then help me do the shadow work and also help others. That's the importance of what we're talking about. There's a lot of things that you can do, and trauma is a big problem on this planet, a huge problem on this planet, because even just coming out of the womb is trauma. Getting spanked on the butt your first moment into the third dimensional reality to make you cry and scream is trauma. We're given trauma from the moment we arrive until the moment we end. That's why the work must be ongoing. The work on yourself must be ongoing. It's not just, oh, I've been working on myself and it's over. It's a consistent job that needs to be done. Resilience refers to the ability to bounce back, adapt, and recover in the face of adversity. The mind has the capacity to harness resilience and gradually overcome the effects of trauma. It can tap into inner strengths, coping mechanisms, and support systems to regain a sense of stability, hope, and well-being. When I was with Dr. Amen, he noticed that trauma pattern as a diamond shape in the top of my brain. He knew all about he could tell me my life story without me telling him anything, just based on the trauma pattern in the SPECT scan. What he realized, and he says, and if you watch the Scan My Brain episode, you can find the full episode of Scan My Brain on YouTube, on his YouTube account. He says, for some reason, you didn't develop PTSD, you developed PTG. I said, what's PTG? He said, you developed post-traumatic growth. Where I didn't take the victim mentality, I took the growth mentality. What can I glean from this? What can I learn from this situation? How can I grow from this trauma? So I absorbed the trauma in a totally different way than the average person. It accelerated me in a pattern that has me moving upward and still moving upward till this very moment. Whereas the average person installs them out and freezes them and locks them in place. And they usually succumb to the trauma and develop PTSD and a victim mindset, and they spin their wheels for the rest of their life. Neuroplasticity, as mentioned earlier, is the brain's ability to reorganize and form new neural connections. It plays a crucial role in the mind's healing and recovery process. So we can recover from trauma, just like we can recover from a broken arm. It's not a life sentence, but you have to do the work. You need to go see a psychiatrist. Number one, everyone should see a psychiatrist. Every single human on the planet should see a psychiatrist. In the minority community, it's frowned upon. But I'm telling you now, I'm a minority, and I'm telling you, go see a psychiatrist. Coping and adaptation. The mind engages in coping mechanisms and adaptive strategies to navigate and make sense of traumatic experiences. This is why some people can become drug addicts and alcoholics. They're trying to cope. It may involve seeking support from loved ones, engaging in therapy or counseling, developing self-care practices, practicing mindfulness, or engaging in creative outlets. Get into a sport, get into some type of activity that exerts energy if you can. Some people can't because they just can't walk or move, but if you can, these coping strategies help individuals process their emotions, gain a sense of control, and promote healing. Very important to understand this. This is a huge part of being able to deal with the traumas in your life that have the capability of really holding you back. Seeking professional help from therapists, counselors, or psychologists can play a vital role in the healing process. These professionals provide guidance, support, and the evidence-based interventions that can facilitate healing, address trauma-related symptoms, and promote overall well-being. Therapy approaches such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, or EDMR, it's called sometimes, or trauma-focused therapies are specifically designed to support individuals from recovering from trauma. Let me show you a very quick clip here on one of these techniques for dealing with trauma. Let me pull up this video clip right quick. Where did I put it here? It's got to be here. Hold on a second. Where did it go? Hold on a second. I put it up there. Sitting. Yeah. Hold it. It's called eye movement. It's not eye movement video. Okay, hold on one second, gang. I want you to watch this video quickly. Here it'll take me 1 second to get it in place. It's really, really important. Most people are not taught how to treat trauma, how to deal with trauma, I'm sorry. This is just one technique that you can use to help get through this. That's why I want to make sure I get this to you right now before we wrap this up. Be up there in 10 seconds. Great. Trauma is a serious problem in our lives that we need to evaluate. We have to do the shadow work. We have to take a deep look at ourselves. There's a lot of self-help books out there to deal with trauma. Elizabeth's book helps deal with trauma. It's called The Recipe to Elevated Consciousness. I showed it in the beginning of this lecture. It has about 40 or 50 modalities that you can utilize that she used herself in order to climb out of the darkness into the light. I highly recommend it. Okay. And let me see if I can get this clip added in here now. So go to Firefox, download this real quick, and put it up in the folder. It's highly, highly, highly important that we learn how to deal with this. A lot of people are frozen right now. They can't move mentally. They don't know which way to turn, which way to go. They're stuck because of trauma. It has them in freeze mode. They can't pivot. They're just completely stuck. And in order to get unstuck, you have to face the trauma. Just like if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, you have to first admit you have a problem. With trauma, you have to first admit, wow, I have some deep trauma inside of me that I have to work this out. I have to face it. A lot of people hide the trauma. You put it in a little tiny compartment and hide it away. You end up getting sick over years. You end up having a lot of different side effects like being snappy, being belligerent, having attitudes, being angry. All that's undealt with trauma in your life. Okay. Here's a technique that can help you relieve some of that trauma. Just a simple technique that actual psychiatrists teach to their patients.
If you have post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, all kinds of things in everyday life can trigger a traumatic memory and create stress. Specific places, loud noises, large crowds, even everyday things at your home. The thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations you had during your trauma can affect how you feel, act, and think today. So how do you reduce the stress caused by these memories? One form of talk therapy that has proven effective for treating PTSD is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, or EMDR. Memories can be made up of many images and related feelings, and EMDR helps you reprocess the trauma to experience it in a different way. EMDR starts with history taking. This involves describing important life events and the trauma you want to work on, as well as your treatment goals. You'll learn ways to manage your anxiety too. Your therapist will ask you to look back at the trauma and think, what negative thought about yourself do you have from that experience? What would you like to believe about yourself going forward? How bad does it feel to you right now? You'll start processing a memory from there. Your therapist will have you move your eyes back and forth while you think about the trauma and those related feelings. During this phase, new and useful information comes up, and old, painful thoughts, memories, and feelings fade and become less distressing. At the end of processing, you'll look back at the positive beliefs that you want to have about yourself. Processing is over when these positive beliefs feel true to you and there are no unpleasant sensations in your body. This phase of treatment may take several sessions. You may also work through more than one traumatic memory before treatment is over. EMDR doesn't require you to take medication. With your therapist's help, you'll follow a step-by-step program for about 3 months. Most people who've completed EMDR show noticeable improvement in their symptoms, and many no longer have PTSD. EMDR works well for both men and women, and it's evidence-based, which means EMDR has been proven to work in multiple research studies. If EMDR sounds like it could be right for you, talk to your doctor about finding an EMDR provider. Or visit the National Center for PTSD website at www.ptsd.va.gov to learn more about EMDR and other PTSD treatments. No matter how long you've been living with PTSD, know that you can get better.
Okay, great little short video there. Hope you was able to glean and get something out of that. EMDR is a great technique for helping yourself with dealing with trauma. If you look in the comment feed underneath this live feed on Forbidden Knowledge TV, you'll see some people had commented that they had been using this and it changed their life, right? And so let's look, Jose Gonzalez, the upgrade was well needed. The mind feels more illumination, dense shadow state. Infinite love sending to you. Let's see here. Alyssa Sunshine says, EMDR is amazing therapy, brings you back to your childhood to figure out where there is a blockage. Jody says, as a Black woman, EMDR therapy is incredibly healing. All right. Tanasha Ward, my favorite affirmation, I only entertain thoughts that empower me. PTG, I love that. Incredible. Beautiful. All right, cool. Let's get back to it. All right, let's talk about 4 ways to hack your genetics to improve your body and mind. You can hack your genetics. Genes contain information that determine everything from appearance to intelligence. A person inherits genes from their parents, and how parents live affect their child's genes. So how your parents lived, in other words, their upbringing, their belief systems, their own trauma, in your body. Not only their trauma, but 15 to 20 generations prior to your parents is in your body. It's called epigenetics. So you are not only battling your own conscious thoughts and subconscious thoughts, but you are also battling against your ancestors' thoughts and memories, which are encoded into your body through the RNA. It's a mistaken assumption that everything you inherited in your genes is permanent. Your lifestyle and circumstances can awaken individual genes or suppress others. Here are ways you can alter your environment and lifestyle to improve your body and mind. So you can change this situation. You don't have to suffer with this. It's not a life sentence, but you have to take what? Action. If you want to manifest a better outcome physically in your body, it's going to take action. Without action, I guarantee you, nothing is going to happen. You are what you eat. Here's the first step. People don't like this one. Food and nutrition are important. Both can influence the body and mind. If you regularly consume healthy and nutritious food, your genes will respond accordingly. Healthy nutrition awakens essential genes that have a positive impact on your mind and body. It's critical to have consistently healthy diet because you want your good genes to be active. So that means stop buying snacks. People say, man, how do you do it? Like, how come you're not always eating chips and and all this? I don't buy them. First of all, I hate going to the grocery store anyway. I'm in and out like a ninja when I do have to go. I mean, I'm in and out. Boom, boom. You don't even see me. All right. But at the same time, I don't buy bags of chips. I'm not buying bags of candy. I'm just not buying that stuff. I don't buy juice. I can't stand drinking juice. Juice is high in sugar and high in fat because the sugar turns into fat. I'm glad that I don't like the taste of juice. I just don't like juice. I have water, coffee, and tea in here. That's it. No juice and coconut milk. I love coconut milk, which I add to my coffee. A little couple drops of coconut milk and some stevia, and I'm good to go. Right? But again, it's a decision that you have to make. I love Doritos. Doritos don't love you. So why are you eating them? I love Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew don't love you. Why are you drinking? If you met a person, man or woman, and got into a relationship with them, and they said to you, I don't love you, and they began to abuse you on top of that, would you stay in that relationship? Think about that. Are you going to stay in that relationship? They're abusing you and they tell you that they don't love you. You got to be a fool to stay in some kind of relationship like that. So why would you keep staying in a relationship with food that's going to give you the same exact treatment? It don't love you and it's damaging you. It's actually mistreating you physically. So why would you continue to do that? Because you love it. It's all a decision. I like to maintain a pretty rigorous nutrition plan throughout my week. My healthy food plan consists of loose versions of paleo diet. I'm not really a paleo diet, but I eat a lot of protein. Not only does this keep my mind sharp, but it helps keep us at optimal performance when working out. And I haven't consumed alcohol. Well, this is more than 3 years because this was actually a copy from one of Elizabeth's things, but it's been more than I was 17. So let me add this up now. It's now 2023. I'm 51. I'll be 52 in September. So in 1988, I drank 2 beers. 35 years ago. 35 years ago, I had 2 beers. 35 years ago, I had 2 beers. I didn't like it and I never drank again. And I have witnesses for this because everyone around me, my fiance Elizabeth, my sister Maria, who was actually there when I drank the 2 beers and got sick and didn't like it. When I was 17, she saw me. I came over to the house she was at. She was like, oh man, this boy's through. And I was sick for 3 days, never drank again. My friend Terrence Heath, good friend of mine from back in the day, he might even be on this live right now. I went to high school with him. We're like the last of the Mohicans. My good friend Henry Miles, 35 years. Do you know how much money I saved? All my friends were hanging out at clubs and getting to VIP booths and spending money on the bottles with their sparklers and all that kind of stuff. I was driving in nice luxury cars. They driving in Toyotas, blowing their money on stuff. And how do you afford all this? How do you have these nice places and these nice clothes and these nice cars? Because I invested the money for you paying for drinking and smoking into my business. And then I bought this stuff under my company name so I can write all these payments off on my taxes so I get the money right back. And you working a 9 to 5, punching a clock and taking your income and spending all of it on stuff you don't need and you can't write off on taxes. So all of it's a liability. You see the difference in thinking there? Everybody deals with stress, and that can have an impact on our health and genes. If you're consistently stressed out, certain useful genes can gradually become suppressed or activated to help you cope. That can have a direct impact on your productivity and your health. You have to reduce your stress levels. Every single day when I wake up, I try to focus on having a stress-free day. To combat stress, I like to go on long runs or drive or listen to my favorite music, positive mental strength tricks, and breathing exercises to help still my mind and bring my heartbeat down. I do a lot of beach, exercise when I'm by the ocean. I usually do 4 or 5 miles. Sometimes I post it on my social media on Facebook. You can see my mile tracker there. Just verify what I'm saying. I always have the receipts. Sometimes I do more than that. The other day I did 6.7 miles, I think it was, and posted that as well. Breathing exercises, taking deep breaths, not breathing shallow, oxygenating my blood. Important. Deep breathing in my meditation. Very important. Bringing the stress levels down. The most important thing for a man at my age is reduced stress. The higher my stress, the shorter my lifespan. The higher the stress, the shorter your lifespan. If you want longevity and you don't want to die sick, you have to reduce your stress. An active lifestyle will awaken the best genes. Stay active, stay physical, dancing, running, right? Walking positive, walking powerful walks, like power walks. Those are really, really good. If you have bad knees and bad ankles and you can't run, go for a power walk. A 20-minute power walk at about 3.5 miles an hour is the same equivalent of doing 1,000 crunches or sit-ups. Think about that. Train rigorously every week. Find something that you can do that will force your body to move, which will pump the lymph and get your lymph fluids flowing so you can cleanse and detox your body. Find something to do. Find a way to exercise, whatever it is. Do more than what you're doing now so your body can start to move, your respiratory system can work, your heart can pump, your lymph can pump and work properly. Change your environment. Sometimes changing your environment isn't as easy as influencing other aspects of your life, but you can control it in small ways. Regular exposure to morning sunlight, a clean home. Clean your house. Stop living in a dirty, filthy house. When your house is filthy and dirty and your office is filthy and dirty, what you're seeing is a manifestation of what's going on in here in your mind. You're filled up with so much here and it spills out into the third dimension. And that's why your room in your house, your kitchen and your office look like crap and they're out of order and they're filthy. And to fix this problem, it takes one thing: making a decision to fix it. It's all about the decision. And once you make the decision, guess what? That's conscious thought. What's the next thing? Action. Multiplied by what? Action. When you put the action behind it, what's the manifestation going to be? A clean house, a clean office, a clean room, a clean kitchen. And now you have reduced the chaos. And once the chaos is reduced, you have more space for cognitive thinking and problem solving.